Chasin The Racin, powered by Colchester Kawasaki. Part of the global Moto Group, we supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt and Benelli motorcycles.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin The Racin. We are joined by Alex Lowes. How we doing, son?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me on, boys. Appreciate it.
And I tell you what, we're obviously very popular with the neighbours, you know what I mean? We're just blocking the whole street.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
Do you get on with your neighbours, or?
I do, actually. Surprisingly enough, yeah, I get on with them. It's like in the little end of the cul-de-sac, these houses around here, I get on with them pretty well. So, in fact, when I moved to this house, none of them knew anything about racing, and a couple of years ago, they all came to Portimao. As a whole street trip to Portimao for the race, so that was pretty cool.
Wait, hold on, was this just the lads, or was it the whole families?
The whole families.
Oh, right.
So we had a good weekend, and they enjoyed it. So
that's the main thing.
Street party in Portimao.
Street party in Portimao. So hopefully they come to another one.
So are you born and bred in the area then? I don't even. Which county are we in?
We're in Derbyshire, aren't we?
We're on the border of Derbyshire and Leicestershire.
But you're a Lincolnshire.
So I can pick. Yeah, I'm from Lincoln. So where I'm from is about an hour. Nowhere near it, really. About an hour away. I'm from Lincolnshire. My missus is from Sheffield, so she's
Yorkshire.
Is it just about Yorkshire? I think
yeah.
she can nearly claim it.
No, she's Yorkshire.
She's Yorkshire.
Definitely
right,
Yorkshire.
Yeah.
I'll give her that one.
Right, I'll give her that.
You only get confirmation from another Yorkshire there, don't you?
That's why I was checking. I thought I need to be careful here. So like Cadwell Park, where not far from Cadwell's where I'm born, and I was until I was like 20 years old.
And what are we from Donington Park here? Like 10 minutes?
Close, real close. Not even. It's about just under 5 kilometres from Donington. So
there we go.
You can tell you've spent a lot of time in Europe that you're measuring places in kilometres.
That's bad, isn't it?
That's a European thing, that, isn't it?
It's
when
like
you're working in
3
Cairns.
miles, less than 3 miles to Donington.
I love it. I'll tell you what, first question then, which is a better track then? On the British circuit?
I like Cadwell.
Like Cadwell?
Yeah, but I love Donington because it's the only one I get to do now in England. So I've sort of gone well there. I don't know if it's because obviously I knew the track, or it's always a nice race with friends and family there. I've had a few podiums there. I think I had a podium on the Suzuki, Yamaha and the Kawasaki, so there's not many tracks where I've been able to do that. So I've got good memories at Donington, but I love Cadwell. It's the first track I ever rode, and it's
You've
Cadwell's
grown up with it there, haven't you?
Yeah, and I always felt like I had an advantage racing at Cadwell, because some people are sort of not anti-Cadwell, but a little bit.
How can you be anti-Cadwell?
Yeah, but some. Not, I don't
it's
know
the
that
safety
word then.
thing, isn't it?
That's like anti-sunlight.
People.
They're not sure.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I loved it. So I felt like I was half a second up before I started the first session. And so I do like Cadwell. I rode in 20. Paul Denny, it took some convincing, but he let me do a track day in 2018. So when I was doing World Superbike, I'd not been there for 5 years, and I rode just a stock Yamaha with some slicks, but I loved it.
Do you know in your contracts, do they say to you, Alex, you're not going to Knockhill on a borrowed whatever?
No, Yamaha was good.
You can't do that.
Yamaha was good and I could ride a stock bike whenever I want. They used to help me actually with the training bike, and I could ride as much or as little as I wanted. Kawasaki, they don't want me to ride a stock bike at all. If I said, can I just have a standard bike to do a track day at Donington? Why would you want to do that, they'd say. They don't believe in it. They think that it's no benefit.
So you'd have to really justify.
They just wouldn't do it.
They just wouldn't do it.
They would really not want me to do it unless there was a sponsor
or thing, a PR event, or which is strange, because I've always liked to ride, away from. So now the only time I actually ride on track is when I'm riding on the superbike.
Right.
But I think that's how Johnny, obviously teammates with Johnny Ray, he's got a blueprint of how he's won all them championships and how he prepares. He does a lot of motocross. He don't really ride any bikes on tarmac. It's a bit different to a lot of riders. And because it's worked so well, they see that. One time he tried to learn the track, I think it was in Germany or somewhere, on a like a super stock Kawasaki with slicks. And I don't know if it. Then he went on his race bike and he complained or didn't feel the benefit, or then complained about the race bike. Or, I can't remember how it happened, but they didn't have good feedback, and they've sort of just stuck with that one instance. But obviously, in the
everybody's
winter,
different.
Everybody's different,
and everybody thrives on different things, and
Yeah, which is, but
I tell you what, you can tell we've been doing this show too long now. It's the sole fact that we've just jumped straight down the rabbit hole. And I must apologise for people who are just tuning in and just like seeing you for the first time, Alex Lowes. I think really it's you're World Superbike rider, riding for the Kawasaki factory team.
Yeah.
Teammates were like Johnny Ray. And how long have you been in that championship?
So I'm riding World Superbikes for Kawasaki. It's going to be my 4th year with Kawasaki.
Sorry, that's probably me, dear man, ringing us up. But carry on.
So I'm going into my 4th year with Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Before that, I was 6 years on Yamaha and 2 on Suzuki, but the whole period, 4 years on Yamaha, 2 on Suzuki. So 6 years with Chasin Racing, which was the team that from when I moved from BSB into World Championship. I was with that team the whole time. So yeah, with Kawasaki now. So I don't know.
I'll tell you what, let's keep going on that order. That we normally do the other way around. We normally go from the beginning. I like it. Keep going
so with Kawasaki now, there was Yamaha. Before that, we were Suzuki, which was like a semi-official team. It was a supported outfit, really. And then before that was 2013 with Honda in BSB.
When you won the champion.
With Samsung was sponsor. So then, and the year before that was WFR Honda in BSB, like a privateer team. They're not around anymore. There was, I think there was... maybe slightly dodgy, not sure, but it looks. I think so.
Seems to be a bit of a fashion in the paddock, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's helped me out a lot.
There you are. So let's keep going. So like you went from.
That was my first year. I had classes, like let's say, not professional, but I made money out of racing bikes. 2012, 2011. I started the year with WFR. Then they wanted me to sign it was like a crossover year for BSB. They had an Evo class within the main superbike race.
Yeah.
So it was like a class within a class, which is always a hard...
Tried to run them sort of stockish rules, didn't they? And it was meant to be like an affordable racing class, but it didn't really produce anything.
It didn't really do anything.
It didn't really work, did it?
Oh, you see, I'm loving this. This platform's new. We're going backwards, but like we're building up a story. So keep going.
Maybe we should go right back to the beginning and then run through again.
No, but we are. We're building the story, son. We're building the story.
And then I started on the Evo bike and I was doing quite well. And then they wanted me to sign like a ridiculous contract. I'm sure it's like a 10-year management contract. And the guy was a slightly strange character. And he said, well, you can't ride the bike unless you sign it. And at that point, I'd never really had a proper good team to ride for. And it was going so well. But I had to leave the team, which was a shame.
Yeah.
And then...
what was before that then?
Before that, 2010, I didn't have a ride in 2010. So 2009 and 10 were like years.
I was going to say 9 and 8 were 9 and 10 were not.
I basically didn't really, floating a little bit. It's hard to go backwards. To go right, to understand their middle years, you need to go back even further. Let's
go to the beginning. You and your brother in the pram. Motocross.
Me smoking him pretty much on a regular. But what's quite funny is, this is what I find quite strange, is at motocross, I was always, so obviously twins, same age, but I was a lot taller. So I was on a 80. That's when you know you're old, when you're on it. It's not even 85 cc's. See, I was on a CR80.
Knock a 5cc.
Yeah.
And they hadn't come around then.
Yeah. And
they weren't invented.
No. And then I was on an 80 and Sam was still on a 65. Because I was tall, I just wanted to get on the fastest bike possible. And I find it quite strange because then I've been on a super bike and he was on super sport. So like you go... Yeah. I've always been on a bigger bike than him, essentially. He's always rode like, even now with a Moto 2, and I'm on a super bike. So it's quite weird that way back then,
it was the same trend.
It was the same sort of trend, yeah.
Because a lot of listeners probably won't be aware that you're identical twins. So what was the actual height difference? You make it sound like me and Joe here. I'm like a hobbit and he's the fucking Gandalf.
I was nearly going to talk in centimetres, but he's definitely going to have a go at me if I do centimetres. So
he's not here to defend himself. An inch?
So it's quite a lot.
You ask any lady, that's a lot.
I'd take an inch.
Yeah, I'd love an inch.
I would. I'd do out to get an inch, to be honest with you.
Take an inch off, you mean?
Nah,
definitely not. So I'm quite a bit taller, really.
Right.
So, even now.
I'll say, is that still the same now?
Yeah, still the same.
You've still got half an inch on it.
Sam's, he looks like me. He just looks like he's been dropped. He's just like dropped and squashed down a bit. So he's a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. Yeah, he's been lowered.
It's just slammed.
Yeah, it's like a car that's just been lowered a bit. He's had his van low, it's just been lowered.
He's like a diesel borer, slammed on its ass.
That's what he's like, actually. Yeah, he's just he's a chugger.
Fantastic.
So that we've always had that. And then obviously we had years of doing the 125s that used to be MRO, it was back then, or it's what is the Thundersport now. I think.
It was MRO back when we were racing. It was Super Teens and
Super Teens. Then Super Teens was good because it was well small, so obviously had a massive speed advantage. So it was like racing. I was like 13 racing against kids that was older, but I was about that big. I was like Alvaro Bautista now, just poof, passing people on the straight. Yeah, couldn't put my knee down, but I could pass people on the straight. That was the Super Teens. Then we went Thundersport on 125 Hondas, and then British Championship. But obviously, Dad was running the team and spending all his money and getting angry at us.
So, what did your dad do to fund? Because you both did motocross, then. So you both
did motocross.
So what? Like was it straight in 80 for you, 65 for him, or was it?
No, we started on 65, both of us.
Oh right, yeah.
And then we sort of
straight
moved
into gear bikes, no autos.
But my dad was not really into motocross.
Oh, right.
He did a little bit of club racing. Well, he did some racing. He was decent at club level. At least he went to Cadwell and mostly tracks up in the north of England, and Snetterton a few times actually. So that's a little bit further down, isn't it?
A lot yet for us. Huh?
Yeah, for you it is.
Aggro.
Yeah. His last race was at Croft actually, so that's nearer your way.
Way aye. It's still an hour south for me, but
it's nearly there.
Yeah.
In '97 actually he started riding. So he rode when we was going to races as 5, 6, 7 year olds with him, and then we started doing some motocross. But he always wanted us to do road racing, I guess. Or he prefers like racing on the tarmac. So he never wasn't too pushy, but I guess just spending a lot of money. And
what did your dad do for
He's
a
an
living
electrician.
at that point?
Still is, yeah, industrial electrician.
Aren't you two qualified electricians?
Yeah, I wish, mate, qualified.
No.
Just, it sounds good, doesn't it, qualified electrician? But all we really did, because when we left school, went to work with the old man and just basically
ran cables,
running cables and cable tying cables to cable tray and putting lights up, but
chopping out back boxes. But you're not doing any important shit because you'll blow someone up.
Put
them down.
Leave them alone.
Sweep up that plasterboard.
Yeah, funny story though. One day, what used to happen, used to work down the quarries where the big conveyor belts bringing the sand up from miles down to the concrete plants, and my dad sort of, when you open the massive panels at the concrete plants, it's so complicated, and that's his sort of speciality, let's say. But running the big cables like 100 metres down, so me and Sam would be doing that in a little van. Anyway, people used to come on the weekends and nick the cable and get the copper.
Yeah.
So if there's like a stretch of 100 metres, obviously, it's a big old do, so you can make some good money out of it. But we used to go on a Monday morning and check what had been nicked, different, whatever core it was or whatever size it was, and then obviously redo it. And one time Sam, he obviously couldn't be arsed or was trying to trick me. He didn't want to go and check that it was all turned off. So I'm there trying to work out. And I've got this electric shock. It sent me. I'm on my back. And he's up there. I can see him already laughing. My hand felt... Do you know when you used to go to the wrestling at the massive hands with the big finger? My hand was like that. I was like, fuck this. This is just shit. Didn't want to be there. Hated it anyway. I just wanted to...
My brother's a bastard.
My brother's a bastard. He's tried to stitch me up. I'm going to die if I keep just coming here. And then, but the thing, what was...
And what age was this?
This would have been like, 19 probably.
Oh, right. So you right.
Yeah, 18. I was working up until the start of 2011. So I would have been 20.
Right.
So from when I left school to 20.
Blowing each other up down the pit.
Blowing each other, hating it. Every single day, just hating it. Wanting to be anywhere else but down the quarry. Or I used to go to this vegetable packing place, which you won't want to go to, because if you saw how dirty them places are, you won't eat the veg at the supermarket. But anyway, I used to pull old cables in there. And I used to just... this is an excuse why every time I got on a bike, I used to think, I'm just going to go for it, because I don't want to be doing this forever. And that's sort of the attitude that we sort of had, but it didn't really help.
Do you think he made it as horrible for you as possible so that you were driven? I'm going to make those boys regret every day they come to work with me, so that they pull their fingers out.
Maybe. I don't know really. I think he was just, because he was. I remember missing races in the British Championship on the 125s, or we tried to run Supersport one year by ourselves because we had exams and stuff. So he always was put in school first. Yeah, he made us go to school. Yeah. We never went to Spain in the winter. Was always working. And I remember moving from a GP 125 to Supersport, and Dad should have done the R6 cut really. That would have been the better thing to do. Obviously it's a lot of money, but at least you know what you're paying, and you got the season. We tried to race Supersport, and back then it wasn't a controlled tyre. There was some good teams in there.
You've got like Ian Lowry on the Taz bike,
and M-Lav, and then Hobbs. Dennis was on the Padgett's bike.
Aaron Walker was on that X Tenkate thing, wasn't he?
There was a lot of
like
good guys. There's Tom Tom Grant and Billy McConnell on the Rob Matt bikes back then.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of good. Stuart Easton was on the Kawasaki for Nick Morgan. So there was like a lot of good riders. And then we literally did one afternoon. So I'd never rode a 4-stroke from the 125. We did one afternoon at Mallory and then went to Brands Hatch. And the old man was like, well, you either know how to ride or you don't. But imagine now, now, people are in Spain all winter doing 10 days, aren't they?
To be honest with you, I'm trying to think, I remember...
Got in the points, I think.
God.
I probably crashed it. More likely I crashed it, and then my old man would go, well, have a go at me. I was just pushing hard, obviously, just trying to show what you can do.
You've given me a gun with no safety on it. What do you expect me to do?
But now I'm older, what he did and what he managed to pay for and they remortgaged the house and two of us trying to bring two of us through the British Championship is...
Do you know what I was going to say?
It's impossible, isn't it?
The 125 days, it takes a lot to run a GP bike, GP bike. Yeah. Was he doing two of them on his own?
No, we had a mechanic helping us.
Like a paid mechanic, or was it someone helping out?
It was a paid mechanic. Joe, it was a guy called Glyn Redmile, and me and Sam did work experience at Suzuki MotoGP at Donington, and we were cleaning fairings, and it mega. It was through the ACU, and we had a mega weekend, and we got talking to Glyn, who's still a good friend now, and he came and helped us for a few years for free.
Wow.
He'd done GP since the late 80s, and he came and helped us for free. If it wasn't for Glyn, obviously my dad's hard work, and if you know what it's like, you boys know, it's everybody mucking in. He came and helped us for free, and he still comes now. He'll be at the first European race, come and watch me. And
was he involved with the Supersport job that first year then as well?
The Supersport job was what really broke us, because I remember qualifying 7th at Croft and starting the race on a used front tyre. You got no chance, have you? No. And people don't really know. I've been massively lucky, so lucky, very fortunate, and I've had really, really good opportunities. But behind it was just no idea really, just trying hard.
What was even going back a little?
It's never what it looks like, is it? Really?
No, it's not. People always see
the white bikes that look mint and think, oh, they're sorted. But my mum was always poorly. She had some kidney transplants. So my old man was not only working all week, she probably couldn't help as much. Then he'd be coming home from work, doing the bikes, going racing. So if we made some mistakes or he felt like we wasn't trying, now I'm an adult and I'm older, it would have been frustrating, wouldn't it?
Yeah, massively.
Me and numbnuts just laughing, taking the mick out of each other and crashing and just doing stupid stuff. And it's going to annoy you, isn't it?
When you're 19, 20 years old, you don't realise how much the sacrifice is.
You really
get older, don't you? And then you think...
I've had some good chats with my dad after and really understand, because at the time you don't understand why they might react annoyed sometimes, but when you're older and you think, life's tough, isn't it? Life's hard to make it all work. And
there's a lot of pressure on... I'm going to stick my neck out and say on a bloke a lot of the times when you're trying to provide, because the situation you end up with kids and everything else, you just expected just to keep going out grafting, keep the mortgage paid, make sure the chimps have got food on the table. Let's go motorbike racing. There's two of the bastards. Right, fucking
and they're going to snap 3 bikes in this weekend.
I can't even imagine how your old boy even... Has he still got hair? He's still got his own hair.
Full head of hair.
Fair play.
Yeah, he's
overstressed.
It's a weird condition that no one really knows about it. But it's that much stress that you just grow hair.
Growing more hair.
Yeah, that's what he's got. It's the Stuart Lowe's condition.
So was it that turning point? When you were on the front of the grid, in Croft, with a Duff front tyre. At what point did it become serious for you? You're talking about you're messing on with your brother. You've gone from motocross, and then your dad didn't really want you in that that paddock, shall we say, and then you've gone from that to Thundersport, pissing off into the distance, being a couple of small lads, and then at what point did you think the realisation that he's taking this seriously? When do I start taking this seriously? At what age was that for you?
Oh, well before then. Right. Early on, I remember having a chat with my dad. I was about 15 years old, and he said to me, it's going to cost me a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort to do the best I can for you to try to do well at racing. Because not many people do well at racing, and really it's probably going to cost a load of money. And so the terms are that you give it everything you've got.
Yeah.
But that's you're going to miss out on some stuff. You're going to miss out on going out with your mates, or you're trying drugs, but what kids do. Back then, you get down the park, you have a few beers, or We didn't do any of that.
You're not going to be getting a new phone. You're not going out. We're spending money for new pairs of jeans.
It's not happening.
But everything's going into racing.
So it was only, I remember I was like 14. I thought, a bit of a heavy. I'm there nudging Sam as he's telling us, as like giggling, because obviously the answer is, we want to go racing and give it everything we got.
Yeah.
But it was good, really, because he said, you're going to make a lot of sacrifices, but it's too much of a effort for everybody not to take it seriously.
Yes.
Or we still do it, but do it as a bit of fun, what we can afford, a few races here and there.
Yeah.
You get to school, you do the best you can, you do university or whatever you want to do. It's up to you. There's your two options.
This is a 14-year-old. That's...
Yeah.
He must have seen something in
it,
you, though, mustn't he? Because he wouldn't have sat down with... If he thought, I'm flogging a dead horse with these two, they'd be better... They'd be better off going and getting pissed up and riding the BMXs. I spoke to him about it since, because, and he's right. Joe, I've been well lucky that, and it's always followed me, and I've never been the most talented rider, but I've always been fast. Every time I jump on a bike, I've been fast. When I jumped from 125 onto the Super Sport bike, I was quick. I can't remember where I finished, but I was... You were there
I was thereabouts, which wouldn't happen now. You wouldn't take someone from a 2-stroke 125, not ride or win. Well, people don't do it. People think they've got this obsession. You've got to ride every day now, haven't you? You've got to be in Spain. You've got to be doing this. You've got to be doing that. Whereas I was always just able to jump on something and be quite quick. And then I remember jumping on the first time I rode a superbike at Thruxton with Nick Morgan. I was on pole next to Hopper and Tommy Hill. I remember thinking, this is all right.
How did your dad see it back then? When he was thinking, do you know what, I'm just going to work 18-hour days and invest everything I can in these two. But he must have, when you spoke to him since, as he said, I knew you'd both make it. That's a big, bold thing to say.
We had a few years when we ran out of money after the Super Sport year. We're sending emails around. We're trying to get rides here and there. I did a bit of European Superstock 600 on a team that was using Mazzocchi suspension because I got to ride for free. And I remember crying once, going from East Midlands to Rome to ride a stock 1000 round Vallelunga that no one knows about because I didn't really know how to speak to anyone. I remember just crying at the airport thinking, I don't know what to do. What am I going to do here? And I jumped on the bike and I finished third. I got on the podium and then that got me a ride on the MV Augusta in the European. It was just a chaos.
It
was just trying to get something to try and not pay to race. And then I missed a few years out of the British paddock. I had 8, 9 and 10. We couldn't afford just to keep paying to race in British Supersport or whatever. So it was hard. That was the hardest period of, let's say, my life, really, from a professional or from a racing point of view, because there was people that I'd beat
that were getting on and they were getting opportunities.
That were out in Spain, that were racing here, and I'm thinking, how's this ain't right? It's not right. How's this possible? And obviously, it would be sponsorship or stuff that you don't really think about at that time. And they were hard because I felt like I've missed 3 years all them years where you didn't have a consistent ride. I felt like I missed a few years of my career.
And this racing world, you've only to drop out for 6 months and you're gone out. It's a ruthless place to be, isn't it?
It is a ruthless, but he's sitting there as proof.
Absolutely. You can imagine
that is impressive in itself because, like we're just discussing right now, is the fact of you take a month out of this, people forget about you. That's nothing.
You're only as good as your last race, and that's it.
Of course you are, and sadly, that is the game. We all know the game, and that is the ruthless element of it. So the fact that you sat out, what were you actually doing in that time period?
Watching Sam in 2010. He got a ride with GNS Honda in British Supersport. This is a good story, actually. You'll love this.
Is that white and fluorescent yellow one?
So my old man had the bikes in the garage from when we ran the Supersport bikes still in the garage, and Sam was going to pay for that ride. We didn't have no money. We probably had 200 quid because we were working. We're living at home. I didn't even have enough money to take my missus out. If I wanted to take my missus to the cinema, I had to get it off my mum. That was gospel truth, right? 2010, 19 years old, we're working. We've got a little van and a caravan on the back. Like a crappy caravan. Finished work Thursday morning, drove down to Brands Hatch. And everyone's going on about, it was the Camo Yamahas with Westy and Billy. And I think Glenn was still on the Paget's bike that year with Steve Plate was doing some Superstock as well. Hutchie might have been on the bike as well, actually, because that's the year I think he got injured with his leg. I think it was 2010. 2010 this is.
Right.
I think that's the year Hutchie got injured. I think Hutchie was on Paget's and Sam was riding GNS Honda.
So I had to go back 13 years.
You forget they just all go into one, don't they? So we're 19, 2010, and he's basically gave $4,000 or whatever in January from a bike that we sold. So it looks like he's going to pay. And I've been fucking desperate trying to find rides, and then I was trying to do some ride and that fell through. So I'm just with Sam. I've got my leathers in just in case anyone's needs a rider. We're going down and no one's really saying anything down there about Sam, and we're laid in couldn't get the electricity to work, so we're laid in the caravan. It's dripping like condensation because it's cold in it. Brands out to start the year. I said, what do you reckon then for tomorrow? He said, I'm going to win it. I'm like, it's probably qualified sixth. I tell you who was on pole, Paul Young. Remember Young on the Triumph?
Yeah.
Top bloke.
Straight handlebars,
just sat in the middle, fast as anything.
Zero input.
Yeah, mega. So Young
takes his helmet off, old boy.
Yeah, old boy, just showing young'uns how to do it.
Mega.
And anyway, so I'm there thinking, all right then, Sam, whatever. Like, British Supersport, you're not shown anything like that before, but he's I'll win it. Bikes him in. All right, fair enough. And he won by about, I want to say 6 seconds. We'll have to check. And I remember going down pit lane in tears, like giving him a hug at the end of pit lane. Everybody's just oblivious, just to see Sam on a mint bike. But we're winging it. I've not got a ride. He's making out he's got a sponsor to pay. He's not got anything. He used to get a bit of prize money then from British Supersport. He was putting that back into the team, and then he won 10, 11 races, won the championship, and got his World Supersport ride.
Fair play.
So he just blagged it.
The balls on that is phenomenal.
Yeah, and just
what in his mind? Have you ever spoken to him about what was worst case scenario? You two coming up with this?
Worst case scenario was they find out that he can't pay and they sack him and he ain't got a ride anyway. He's good to work because he's not riding anyway. That's what we decided.
Was that his do or die year? Yeah. That was his. If
2010 was his do or die year.
And
Gary Stubbington, top bloke, ran a mega team for him and really helped him. And it was also the year that sort of kick-started me because remember there was that big ash cloud in the north of Europe, in the Scandinavian countries, and nobody could travel.
Yeah.
And Phil Seaton...
That was him doing a Triumph test.
That was you, yeah. When you did that test and blew them engines up north, that helped me out. That helped me out a lot. And
you can thank me later.
Yeah, Phil Seaton was running a Norwegian guy on his R6 and it wasn't going very well. And he couldn't get to the race because of the ash cloud. I had my leathers. I'd not ridden for about 8 months and I just jumped on. I had a go.
Where did he finish?
I didn't finish the race. The bike broke, but Sam towed me in qualifying and I'm sure I was either on... I was near the front. I think I was at the front. Mint.
That is incredible. You know what's impressive is that the fact that you've grown up and then at what point did you two go split? You're on the same journey but on two total different paths, which is quite unique for a family, you know what I mean?
We're on
very unique
different paths because then I actually rode a few races at the end of that year and Glenn Richards was riding for Paget's Honda in Supersport and I was on the Phil Seaton bike because to be fair to Phil, he put his own money in his pocket to make a bike for me because we had some good races and it went well at the end of the year. I remember the safety car at Brands Hatch. Sam was obviously on a crest of a wave. He won the championship. He looked back behind him and I was like second, just giving a little wave. He wasn't expecting me to be there, obviously. That was mint.
Is that on YouTube somewhere?
Yeah, probably. Well, it will have been.
Be. Yeah. That wave, I can just see two.
And, would the dream have been for you two did you ever say or think to each other, it'd be good if we ended up in a team together?
Yeah.
Like a proper not having to fight on and do what we're doing and running our own thing. The goal would be, the big dream in life would be me and my twin brother.
Yeah.
Would that still be something that you'd...
Yeah, still would be. And back then, what I was going to say was Glenn was riding with me, see how hard I was riding. And basically in 2011, he was riding for this new WFR Honda team. And I didn't know Glenn Richards at all, but he said, you got to get me on the bike. Got to get me on the bike. So it was because of Glenn why I got on, and then I was on a superbike then. So that's where we split. Sam went to World Supersport with a good challenge, and I got a ride in the British Superbike Championship. And then, funnily enough, Glenn then, after he was my teammate there, started working with me when I went to World Championship as like a helper, which was quite cool. But
in
terms of teammates, hopefully maybe in the future, I'd like to be teammates with him.
Going down the road a little bit more.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I tell you what, this is. I'm gonna save that question at the end. Actually, it's too good just to throw in mid conversation. I'm gonna have to save that one.
I was just trying to think. Then, is there any other twins on the world scene?
Don't know. There's obviously brothers with pollination. They're Ferrari twins. They're twins, aren't they? The French guys. I don't know if they've been on the same team, but they're race.
It's cool. It's a cool thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I would beat him.
You would.
So,
Who's got more Instagram followers?
he's in the Grand Prix paddock, isn't he? So yeah.
Don't start the race's excuses already.
Who's got more?
I'm a racer.
That's the most vain question. Yeah, I love it.
Because I'm trying to think he's smoking him up, isn't he?
To be fair, he's won a few Grand Prix. That's another funny story from Sam. When he won the World Supersport Championship 2013, he had some offers to go to World Superbike, and he as part of his contract, if he won the championship, the team he was with were going to World Superbike, but with MV Augusta on, not a good manufacturer. I remember being sat. I used to have a house in Derby, and he's like, "This is another one of our little sat in the sauna conversations that people just have no idea about." So he just won the World Supersport Championship. Everything's going mint. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that." And it was good money compared to, we probably still don't have much money. And he's like, "I'm going to get out of my contract because I'm going to go ride for Speed Up in Grand Prix for 35 grand. I looked at him and went, "What?" Like, nobody wanted to ride that Speed Up Moto 2 bike back then. He's like, "Yeah, I think I can win a Grand Prix." That's all he was obsessed about.
Good man.
So I looked at him and went, "Fair enough. I'm not going to convince you any otherwise." And obviously he went Speed Up, won a couple of Grand Prix with them, and it's mint. I love looking back at that. Like, sort of, I'm sometimes more proud of what he's done, and when I look back at it, than me, because
well, you're not as critical of him as you are of yourself. Here.
Exactly.
You'll sit there and think, "I wish I'd done this."
And Sam's is a lot of different character than me. He's like probably a bit nicer than me, but then he's soft, and in our world, it's easy to get taken advantage of if you're a bit soft, and he just loves it. He loves riding and crashes a bit, but he can't. People get on it about that, but he's just a lad, just an electrician from Lincoln that's having a go and has managed to win a few Grand Prix. And I love that. I like that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Going back to that WFR job. So that was, we don't have to talk about
how dodgy they are,
how it was funded or anything, but I remember that year you went real well on that. For like
we rode for a laundry a ago, didn't he?
Yeah, there was things that were on the line.
Yeah. Now that was
inland revenue.
Yeah. That was the first year where I genuinely thought to myself, I'm good enough to make a living out of racing. Because before then, in Supersport...
That wasn't a paid... I mean, you don't have to say, but
which year?
The WFR year, that was a paid year.
Yeah, so the first year, 2011...
professional year.
So the first year, 2011, was an Evo. That's how they started. That was the Evo Superbike year. That was the year where I won a lot of the Evo races, but then I didn't... I stopped with the team after a few rounds, so I wasn't on a full Superbike, and then I rode for Nick a few, and I was a bit here then everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think I got like £12,000 cash. Who loves a bit of cash?
Love a bit of
Everyone
cash.
loves
20 years old, bit of cash, living at home still.
You could go to cinema without having to borrow anything off your mother.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, his mum was at the door going, those years of going to cinema.
Quite a few cinemas there, isn't there?
Cheeky McDonald's.
And then at the end of that year, that was the end of that year, so Sam had already won in British Supersport. I was still working, and then Dad was trying not to work, because trying to race in BSB and try and win races at BSB, I wanted to put more time into training and everything. So I remember the conversation, it didn't go down very well at all. He was he's under the, when you're doing well enough to earn good money, and that's when until then you have to work as well.
Yeah.
But it's the chicken and the egg. Well, I need to put everything into it, Dad, to get to that level.
Yeah.
So that's why we moved into the static caravan at the Haslams.
What, to distance yourself?
To sort of get away. I used to go back on the weekends, and he'd just have us in helping, doing bits and bobs. But yeah, that was... He probably won't admit it, but he wasn't happy for a few months at all. But it was the best thing we did, because we went on to start winning, and he started winning some World Supersport races.
How did he get involved with the Haslams? From a lad from Lincolnshire down there. So how was that? Just through a connection on the track?
When we was racing 125s already, Leon was riding for Airways Ducati in BSB, and then Honda after that. And Ron was just in the paddock, and one day he just came up and said, "You lads are on it, but you're making too many mistakes. I think I can help you." And it was mint. That was. Used to come up to the farm on the weekends, and just mint. They was great. It's been great. Still, obviously, we're very close with them. They've been a big help for me and Sam.
I was about to say, because the attitude of when they say champions hang around with champions, don't they? That? Did you see you going to the farm and flat track and a motocrossing, and you moved up there? Did you see a massive progression in your riding, immediately, or?
Yeah. What?
It's a bit of a difficult one, I know.
Yeah,
but
difficult one looking back. But I think that I've been lucky to have good people. I've had good people around me all the time, with Ron and Leon, and then Neil Hodgson started helping me around the same time. He retired from racing the sort of Rob Mack year that never happened, 2009 and 2010.
High-sided himself out of Grant
High-sided himself and sort of retired before he hit the floor. One of them, wasn't
he? He didn't really want to be there.
No, he didn't want to be there. It was cold, wasn't it?
Yeah. God, it was cold.
Freezing.
It was cold, yeah.
And
came out of Graham Hill, massive eyesight, landed on his shoulder, and it was, I can't.
So he was like a hero of mine, going to Cadwell, watching him in like 2000 race against Stalker in the BSB, and then all of a sudden we're having a night out together and became mates, and then he's been managing me ever since. So he's been a good help as well. So that was from around that sort of time.
I suppose as well, when you're that young and you've got people of that calibre, Leon included.
You just sat there, aren't you? I'm just a fan, so I'm just sat there with Hodgie and Leon, and then he's talking.
If your dad came and told you to do something, you're going to go, yeah, whatever, Dad.
Yeah.
Leon comes up to you and tells you exactly the same thing. First lap out, you're doing exactly what he says, aren't you?
To be honest, even if he told you the opposite, you do what he was telling you. Don't brake.
Lads and dads, you don't listen
I would have probably tried that as well
back
then. But no, that's obviously
stood you in good stead, really, didn't it?
Yeah. It does, doesn't it? You need to surround yourself with good people, don't you, really?
Yeah.
So, like you're talking about management, how crucial was that at that point? How old were you at that point?
So he started managing me end of 2012. So it was just friends to start with.
Yes, aye.
So that was just helping with some stuff, and he was giving me some advice, and then the year that I was racing with Honda in BSB, he started managing me because I wanted to try to get out of BSB. So then he's been managing me from then, and it was.
That was a Samsung Honda year.
Yeah, this would make you laugh. So I was with WFR, and then WFR Honda had like a contract, but they didn't run the next year, so it was all complicated, and it was, like I said, they were actually mega for me in my career, but I think the team was proper dodgy. They sort of came out of the sport as quick as they came in, which is never a good sign, is it? No. But the bike and the team, honestly, was great. I was working with a crew chief called Colin Davis, good bloke.
Davis Motorsport, he's a
top bloke, and it was good. It was good.
I tell you what, get a few wines in him. He always pulls out that. He's got a trophy that Alex gave him, like a PSP winning one, and he gets a few drinks and goes, "Look what that." He'll probably kick me in for saying that, but he looked like mate. There was some of the best.
And he was good for me. He was really good. Helped me to sort of.
Was Colin like your first proper crew chief role then?
Yeah. Colin was the first. He was my first, from a technical point of view, somebody that would, that's the first time I started sitting down and going through it like a
bit of structure.
Bit of structure, race weekend plan, going out in sessions and thinking about tyre life and what's happening, and more than just how fast can I go, where am I, and what's happening.
So like Colin Davies worked like MotoGP level with like Schwantz and everything, and what makes him, and yet again, don't hate me for saying this, Con, but what's great about him is his calmness. You know what I mean?
And I was very opposite of that.
Well, but that's his management element, isn't it?
Helmets and shit like that.
But the first time I ever got like it was on classic bikes, not modern machinery.
So it turns
but
out lovely classic bikes now, doesn't it?
Oh no, with him and like his Uncle John there, they've got Davies Motorsport together. But that I can see that with obviously with me not got his results, but that element of actually getting on a motorcycle and thinking rather than just jamming on the throttle, you're thinking about the front feel, you're thinking about that, and is one of his most famous quotes, and I bet you've heard the same, is don't tell me what's wrong, don't tell me how to fix it.
Yeah.
And
that's what I still do now. I never come in and say you need to do this, you need to do that. I still do my debrief now. I can't turn, the bike doesn't turn, I'm struggling to stop there, and that's it. The engineers need to do the rest of it. You don't need to come in and say, I
need 2 turns of preload.
Yeah, as soon as you start thinking like that, I think that's it. You need to stop. Or I need to do test ride or something, because it's not... all I should be thinking about is, how can I ride the bike better to be faster on the track? Yeah. Okay, that's my biggest problem. I need to tell the guys that. Can I do anything? No. Okay, so then they need to do that. And that's Colin's philosophy, and I've kept that. That for the whole career, really.
And here you are riding for Kawasaki Newcastle. I said Newcastle there. Kawasaki Newcastle sign Alex Lowe. Imagine that. Gee, they are, but no, it's not like it works though, doesn't it? It does work.
How did that conversation to go to World Superbikes? Was that through Neil then?
It's funny. So I rode for Honda and BSB I rode for not a lot of money, because they had to pay some money to get out the contract they already had. I can't remember how it worked, and I don't know if they ended up paying it because the team stopped. It was a clusterfuck, really. I was just trying to ride anything, and just if someone wanted me to ride, I was just desperate to ride. So, and I knew in 2012 I needed to be on that WFR bike, because nobody thought it was a good bike. It was a small team, but I knew I could do better than people expected on it which is good enough in our game. If somebody expects you to finish 10th and you finish 7th, you've done your job, and you're going to get another chance. And I managed to win some races on the bike. I had like 4 or 5 pole positions, and it was mint. So then the natural progression was to ride for the main Honda team with Harvey, and Harvey was good for me that year. I rode there, really good. He was the first proper like team manager, rather than a crew chief, team manager influence, and I was just obviously a bit young then, and chasing a few good girls and just
Colin
thinking I was a legend.
But you need that, don't you?
Yeah.
You need all those different little bits to come together.
Harvey was good
to try and straighten you out a bit.
Yeah,
you know?
and I still class him as a friend now, because he was really helped me out a lot that year, and that year obviously went really well. It was a good year, and I ended up riding for 15 grand, I think, on the Honda, which is not a lot of money really. And I think the offer to stay in BSB was something like 120 grand the year after.
Really?
And that was with Honda, the Samsung.
And then because they sort of not needed me, that's not. I don't want it to sound like that, but they'd won, and then I left the team. Samsung was end of the Samsung contract, and they didn't run then for a couple of years in BSB. They took a couple of years out, which was strange because we'd just won. But I was going to World Championship for a lot less than that, I think.
Was that a Sam Sauna moment where you went, I'm not going back for that. I'm going to go and ride that for fuck all.
No, not fuck all. I think the first year World Superbike, I got paid 75 grand off Suzuki to race in World Superbike. But you'd have done it for night, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course you would,
I was just desperate to be there. It worked very well for me, Paul Denning's team, because an English team, they were relatively new to World Superbike, only been there a couple of years, so they were learning as well. So expectation wasn't too high. It was an older bike, and it worked really well for me to go there.
Who was your teammate that year?
Eugene Laverty. He just finished second in the world on the Aprilia.
Yeah.
He finished second in the world on the Aprilia and been left without a ride, and then Eugene came on the Suzuki and was teammates with me. So there.
I'm trying to remember who your teammate was. Graham Gowland. Was he your teammate at
Carl, yeah.
Legend. Top bloke.
You know, well, I lived in the same village as him for Allendale up in the middle of nowhere. They had Paul. Yeah, they did quad bike machinery.
Yeah, off-road.
Like that.
Yeah, quad bikes.
I haven't heard for that.
Did you ever go mountain biking with Gowland?
No.
Holy.
But I tell you one thing, genuinely, I rode behind him. There's not many people I've rode behind on a bike. I've rode behind a lot of people, following people on the bike. I've rode behind him at Cartagena. It's like a long ride at Cartagena, and the way he was drifting the bike, and I thought, I can't do that. And it's probably happened to me 1 or 2 times, maybe with Top Rack. I remember following Casey Stoner at Suzuka through the chicane, and I was on the Yamaha. I was like a MotoGP bike, so I was faster than him, which was nice. And then I came to the chicane, and the way he flipped the bike through the chicane, you don't gain time in a chicane, do you? But he fucking destroyed me in this chicane. I thought, you're obviously pretty good. But I followed Graham Gowland in 2012 pre-season testing at Cartagena, and I thought, fucking hell,
he could pedal a bike, man.
He can pedal a bike, very naturally talented. But then,
because
I don't want it to sound bad, but then at the race weekends, he had some really good rides, but he didn't show, I don't think, the potential of what he could have done. I don't know why, whatever the reasons is, but when I followed him, I remember being well impressed. I told him as well.
Definitely like to get him on the show. I remember watching the race. It was because I don't know when did they start putting changing the pole position. You know, in the race, so whoever puts the fastest lap in gets pole position for the next race. And Gowland was the only one out there on slicks, and there was a piss thin line. All you lads were on wets, and you could just see the race degrade and everything. The bikes are chewing up, and it was just like out of nowhere, bang! There was like a 10-second quicker lap. It was like, that's obviously dry, and it was like a pencil thin line, and he put it on pole, and it was like. All you lads are behind him going, fair play, son.
And right decision.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nice lad as well, isn't he? Lovely bloke.
Really
but that decision only came in for the last 5 laps. You know, like these lads, like Gowland wasn't at the front at this point, but it was just like, bang, there's a 10-second quicker lap. It was
he got injured, didn't he?
I think he got injured. He was racing in Supersport, and I'm sure it was a pre-season test in Spain at the... is it Guadix?
Something like that. But he obliterated the lap record that stood for years.
And then,
like the outright lap record, and then that happened, didn't it?
I think it might have been his leg or his femur or something.
Yeah. He only lives up the road. We'll have to get him on the show. We'll have to try and work that out. But so I'm going to ask a random question in the middle of all this. You know, when you and your brother, you know, blowing each other up down the pit and stuff like that, and you knew you had to take it more seriously, what was the dream at that point? You know, was it just, let's just get a job? Or was it, I want to be in Worlds, you know, Moto 2?
My only dream, and it's still my only dream now, is to try to be a world champion. That's it. I'm not really.
It's simple, isn't it?
Simple.
Yeah.
And
it's
honestly,
not. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do.
Yeah, and last
why
year,
aren't you doing it? You did.
Yeah, exactly. I need to do better. But like last year, in 2019, I finished third in the world on the Yamaha, but I was never really. Johnny was too far in front. Bautista that year, and then Yamaha was like. I went 6th, 5th, 3rd. I was on good progression at Yamaha. I came to Kawasaki. I could have stayed at Yamaha on the privateer bike and earned some more money because where I finished 3rd in the championship, I had some bonus related like clauses where the next year would have been good money.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to Kawasaki and at the time they were the best team. And obviously Johnny had won all the titles, and you want to be against the best and try and challenge yourself against the best. I was going to
say you're going in against,
and I like that, and I still like that challenge now. And last year, I feel like I'm the closest I've been consistently to him, and I love that. And the day that I think I won't do it, I won't just ride bikes because I can earn a few quid. I'll just get a job. Genuinely, I haven't got that. I haven't got that. I don't feel like I've got that. I'm just going to race in British Superstock when I'm 40 to do a few signings. I won't be able to do that.
I've had a few conversations with people who are, I'm going to say, coming to the back end of their career, and they could easily stop now, and they probably should stop now, but they can't and they won't because I've been offered 35 grand. Yeah, but why are you still doing it?
Yeah.
To keep doing it for that reason, to me,
I really won't, because honestly, I still prepare this season. Like I'm going riding, testing a couple of weeks. I'm still every single day of my life. I think, how can I be a better rider?
Yeah.
I'm working on. There's some stuff I need to do with the way I'm shifting the bike because the way the engine brakes, and that's working now. Braking zones are so short. There's something I can gain there. I still don't release the front brake as smooth as I can compared to Johnny or whatever it is.
You got access to his data. That
it was still share the data.
The data.
I've been training as hard this winter as any winter. Obviously, I've got the kids there, but not missed a day. And I'm still motivated that this year I can make a step. I can be challenging Johnny, beating Johnny, winning some races. And I think if you lose that, I don't just want to go racing to ride. I'll give someone else a chance. But at the minute, as long as I'm still improving, I'm still there. I'm still at the front of the races.
And the hunger's still there to
massive.
Do it. Yeah. I can tell by the way you're talking.
I love it. But John, I'm so lucky that I'm 32. So I appreciate the situation. I get to go race a factory superbike. I go testing. I sit there in the garage in the morning and think,
this is cool. Yeah.
What I'm doing today is what I've dreamt about doing. And every day I get on the bike, I think that. Because if I can't think that and appreciate that, then what chance have all the young kids got that are trying to get to that? But you forget. Yeah. Your life goes like that. Before you know it, I've been in World Superbike 10 years.
But I think you need to have the struggle to appreciate that, don't you? And yours and Sam's stories is those, if you ever look back at the history, both of you had it were hard, wasn't it? For a couple of years there, it was, well, is this
I'm not going to sit here and plead.
No, you've done all right out of it, haven't you? But
done well out of it.
I've
been very lucky. But at the start, I went out of school. I tried my best at school because I knew I need to do well at school to go to racing. And I understand that 90% of the people get up, go to work and graft the balls off to earn a living.
Yeah.
I understand that side of it. Whereas I think a lot of kids now, and I'm not pleading like it was hard work by that, but a lot of kids now, they don't understand that. They don't understand. Like I always wind Leon up, Lenny, because Lenny's a good mate of mine, but he's been around MotoGP paddock with his dad, and then he's just been on bikes doing the run outs and race school since he was 4. Then he's just started racing. It's just what he does. Just go racing.
He knows no different.
He don't know any different. And sometimes I feel sorry for him because if you do know different, you know how lucky you are. And that's I'm fortunate that I can see it like that, I think.
That's with age as well, I think.
Yeah.
Like you said, your conversation, you've got 2 chimps now there. I'm the same. When the kids come along, you think, oh, fucking hell, now I realise the struggles of what my parents were going through, and it just changed your
perspective. Especially me with twins.
Mate.
Look at my mum and think, fair play, mum, because me and Sam must have been a nightmare. Imagine. It just must have, I'm 32, it just must be 32 years of stress.
But it hasn't stopped, has it?
No.
Because you're still doing it to her now.
Exactly. Nightmare, isn't it? Bless her.
But in 2 different places.
Yeah.
I know. What did your mum say to all this? At the beginning. What
Don't say much. My mum. My mum's. She's like this. She's a strong person. My mum. She's
got to be
tough really tough, and she just sort of. Yeah. Do you know what my mum is? She's just happy if we're all right, long as we're long as we're all right or whatever. But she knows that we need to work hard and do the best. But she's never really. If I have a good race or a bad race, she won't be any different. And that's all you want from your mum, really, isn't it? But
did your dad ever want any further involvement? When you were when these opportunities started coming to you, was it a case of, oh well, I'll take the deal, but my dad needs to come and help with wheels or tyres.
My dad needs a McLaren.
Yeah.
That's
please.
part of the deal.
That's part
Just
of the deal.
give the man a McLaren, will you?
I wish.
Because he's invested so much time and effort into you.
He got to a stage where he stays back. He never gets involved. If I ask him something, he'll help me on whatever. But I don't know how to say it, obviously, without him. I don't think he'll listen on here, but I wish I was a bit closer to him some ways. And we had a real nice trip. The last trip of the year in December, came out. I had a private test in Jerez. It was only me, Johnny, Tom Sykes was on track, Redding on the BMW with Andermatt, and Sam was riding on a stock.
So a private test, which is essentially a full race meeting. Continue.
Yeah.
That is that made it sound like you and your nan. Let's grab a ZX10. Let's go for a laugh.
We had 1 day of testing to do some function tests or whatever they were doing, and my old man came with me, and we went out, flew into Gibraltar and went across, which we don't normally do. Played a game of golf the day after. Honestly, I loved it. It was mega. It was out on track watching, no one there. Do you know when you haven't got the stress of a race weekend where you're flat out doing everything? You could just enjoy it, and that was mint. I love that, and I regret that I've not done that enough. But he's a different character. He's just still flat out working. If you took him out of work, he wouldn't know what to do with himself, I don't think.
So you'd rather keep doing he's happy to just keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, my mum hasn't been able to travel the last couple of years. She's been sick, which has been a shame, because before that, he used to come to pretty much all the European races.
Is that from the early days with the kidneys?
Yeah. She's on dialysis, so then you can't travel. You have to go 3 days a week.
Yeah.
But she's doing well.
Good.
But so that's been a shame, because they used to come to pretty much, they always come to Assen, Portimao, Misano, come to a lot of the races. But when they come, they just, what's happening? Yeah, you're all right, sound. Have a few beers. That's perfect. I love that, because I know that if he's having a few beers in the bar with my mum, and there's always people there to enjoy it with. So hopefully this year they can go.
I've just got this image of your mum and dad. I've obviously never met them, but I can just see you over the crowd of fans going, "I've got your steak bake, son.
Yeah.
I've just put it in oven."
Yeah, bless him.
From Yorkshire, obviously. Joe's mum sports. Yeah, I've got your steak bake.
Yeah.
Does Sam get to come and are you two able to support each other?
Yeah,
much. Obviously, you see it now and again, don't you? But how much the
MotoGP schedule is nuts, ridiculous. 21 races plus testing and some media stuff. It's just ridiculous. But I try to go to a few of the MotoGP. Obviously, my schedule's a bit easier, and I still support him as much as we speak. We're so close. We speak easy, at least once, twice, 3 times a day if we don't see each other. It's like having another wife.
Do you have
I can't wait to speak to him. Just feed it all.
Well, funny enough, he's outside. Get yourself in.
Yeah.
But no, here's a question: how much can you two be brothers when you're in that environment? When you go to his team in his environment, is it all game face, or can you just can you just on the motocross pit boards, you're a dickhead, pull your finger out? And how professional are you with each other at a race meeting, or is it total tongue in cheek?
Yeah, tongue in cheek, really. In MotoGP, Sam's got his group of friends in MotoGP is like Jack Miller, Cal when he was racing, Sam. So in the motorhome at night, we used to go and have a social in the motorhome, and Miller would be eating sweets and telling stories and playing something on the PlayStation, and just like you'd want it to be, really.
Lads at home in a flat, just chilling out, yeah.
I tell you what, we've got patrons at the end. I bet this is definitely a patron question, but have you ever swopped levers for a laugh?
No, but in 2011...
go and have a go on me Moto 2 bikes.
2012... 11 or 12, I can't remember, when he had a crash at Assen, fractured his shoulder blade.
I've done that.
Painful. It wasn't that bad. There's loads of different ways. It's loads of different ways you can do it. It's kind of around that. And then he had to do 2 weeks later, he had to do his fitness test at Monza, and I did it for him, and I was talking to the doctor about my shoulder. It's only when I went out that I'd been complaining about the wrong one anyway, so the doctor can't have been very good, because I was saying the left one, it was his right one. I had to do some press ups and some stuff, and they didn't know, and he finished on the podium, so it's worth doing, really. He wouldn't be able to do it. So
have you ever gone into his team and one of the teams mistaken you?
Yeah, loads.
Yeah, I can imagine
loads of times. Mark VDS that runs the team now, genuinely, it must have happened 5 times. Every time I walk in the hospitality or the garage, I'm just fully prepared to just pretend I'm Sam. Because
do you go along with it then?
I just go along with it because I don't want to make him feel bad, so I'll just go along with it, yeah.
That is definitely the answer I was looking for. Yeah. You know, when I was asking, is it like serious or stuff like that? At least you can walk in and just, I couldn't help myself with giving a different feedback, sit down and I've went in, I've had a think, the brakes are shit, but you know what I mean? There's no support in the rear, you know, we just need it
just completely destroy it.
You know what I mean? The tank doesn't fit right. Can we bulge it out?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. That's what I should
put
do,
his leathers on and saying, something's happened while I've been in the shower.
Someone's washing the leathers. Yeah, they're shrunk. But it's funny when people... I have like a rule when people ask for autographs and stuff. If it's something I can do his signature, so if it's something at Sam's, I sometimes do it. But if it's something special or nice or a helmet, or I'll just say, "Oh no, I'm Alex." But if it's like a program or something, I just sign it.
Yeah.
Rather than make it feel bad, which is bad, really. I know I shouldn't admit that, but
I've got to ask this. I've got to ask this. You know, obviously when you both growing up and you obviously both went to the pub and had a bit. Do you ever chat each other's girlfriends up for a laugh?
Yeah, this is funny. So a long time ago,
you must have, man.
A long time ago, I was at home, still living with mum and dad. My girlfriend was staying over, and I went to the toilet in the middle of the night, and he obviously woke up and jumped in bed with, as I've gone out, jumped in the bedroom with my girlfriend, and she like all of a sudden there was like,
you're feeling frisky.
I heard a bit of commotion, and anyway, something happened. Anyway, he'd gone in the middle of the night and obviously tried to kiss her, and she was like, well, Alex won't walk back in from being in the toilet and try and kiss me. So it spooked her. So I thought, nice one, Sam. He's obviously just gone straight in there, straight for a kiss, making out as me. Cheeky.
Do that thing. Oh,
yeah.
Do that. Oh, what do you mean, what thing?
I shouldn't say it now because
you're
both married and all the rest of it. But
this is in the past.
I'm going to say there's no point swapping girlfriends because I've always had nicer girlfriends than
that is a fucking low blow. We can edit that one
out. That's a low blow. No, you can have that.
Grace, do not edit that out.
Yeah. Keep that in and let's ask him about it. I think it's true. Current wives is discounted because that's not nice.
Because you're in love and all that. Yeah. So there we go. Happy days. My giddy hand. But like, you know, with the job swap, you know, you kind of touched on it. You know, the fact that you're in Worlds and he's in Moto 2. There must be an itch there to go.
I wish Sam would come. I've rode him at a two bike on the Secret. Obviously, you're not allowed in your contract. Yeah. In America, I was in America playing golf with Jason Pridmore, a friend of mine, doing some like a track day at a place called Chuckwalla Raceway, not far from LA. Like
I'm nodding like I know where it is. Yeah. Mate. No.
I didn't know it before. Anyway, and someone had bought Sam's 2016 Moto 2 bike that he actually won on in Jerez. And anyway, I said, can I have a go on it? The bike said, yeah. You can have a go if you want. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm in. So I've just got right into it. I did about 30 laps on this Moto 2 bike in secret around some random track in America, borrowed someone's leathers.
Didn't you wildcard a MotoGP bike?
2016.
Yeah, the Tech 3.
That was a good story as well. So
wow.
This is a funny story. I was riding for Yamaha in World Superbike and I had to go do the Suzuka.
Yeah.
Well, I've always obviously heard about Suzuka.
You've won that 3 times, haven't you?
Yeah, but I've never done it, and I'm a bit nervous. And I get there, and you've got Paul Espargaro and Nakasuga-san, who's like the Japs love him. He's a Japanese test rider. He's been on the podium at MotoGP in Valencia in mixed conditions, but he's like God. Turns up in his nice car, and they don't have nice cars in Japan, but he had this, I don't know what it was, something that looked quite nice. Paul's not talking to me because he's a MotoGP rider. Don't give a fuck about me. I'm World Superbike, so I must be shit. My leathers didn't turn up. So my leathers aren't turning up. I'm waiting about 10 minutes before I get leathers turn up. I'm trying to get them out of the box, get them on. They're fucking struggling.
So there's the Moto Direct team shitting their pants. Because you RST at this
point. Leathers eventually turn up. I'm fucking running around trying to speak to the Japs. But it's a full Yamaha Japan, nothing to do with the World Superbike team. Anyway, everyone's looking at me like I'm just a fucking... I shouldn't be there.
Just drag you off the street.
They just dragged me off the street. Paul's thinking, well, I've got this dickhead riding with me. He's going to be shit. And I'm sat in the chair to go out the garage. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, this is a bit nervous. There's no one on track. The track's fucking massive. It's like a 2-minute lap and there's no one there. Just us.
Class.
These 2 bikes, us there. And it's right frosty, proper frosty feeling. And I've gone out of pit lane, but I've rode the track before on the Yoshimura Suzuki.
Sorry to clear that up. It wasn't physically frosty; it just felt in the
red hot
atmosphere. I was about to say, I'm thinking, when are you doing this?
Actually, I had done Suzuki before, but anyway, I was there was the first time with Yamaha, so I didn't know any of them then. So it's all a bit.
Yeah.
And Paul's not giving me. He ain't talking to me. So he's got his mate with him, and he's doing this fucking thing he's throwing these balls against the wall. I know, getting warmed up for this test. I'm just there. I can try and get my leather sorted. I've gone out of pit lane. I've thought. It went back to the old thing. I need to be fast here. Got to be fast, because if I'm fast, I've got half a chance of getting a bit of respect here.
Don't care about the lap time. I just need him to talk to me.
And I just
shove that ball up. Yeah.
And I've gone out, and honestly, the bike was incredible. If I could choose one bike, and I've rode the MotoGP bike, if I could choose one bike to have in my garage when I'm older to do a few track days on, or to let anyone experience, would be the Suzuki 8-hour factory Yamaha on Bridgestones, because in 2016, 17, 18 had the MotoGP electronics from when it was open. So the electronics were amazing compared to the power of the bike, and it was on Bridgestones, which were one-offs for that race, which was just incredible. The bike was just mint. It was such an easy and fun bike to ride. Anyway, I went out, went for it, went fast. And if I could took a screenshot when I left the garage to when I came back in, you couldn't believe it. And Paul,
everyone's gone from that looking the other way.
Casually looked across at me, true story, and went, "Fucking hell, Tio, you're fast." Tio means like mate in Spanish. Right. You're fast. I looked at him as if to go, what do you expect? I was doing all right on the World Superbike. He's like, I just thought you'd be slow. That's what he said. And I thought, all right. And then...
Is that literally your words after that? Look, like,
what did you expect?
Right. Yeah, like, if you could rewind that moment, walk back in knowing he was going to go, you're fast, mate, would you have lit a cigarette, just take your helmet off, swish
you
it.
You could have just pied him.
Yeah, but
just give him that.
Literally slap him on the way by, have one of them.
Yeah, have one of them. But actually, he was sound there, and we got on well. And... That year at Suzuka, we won the race, and they gave me I did the last stint. You normally use your strongest guy for the last stint. So I've got all the pictures, me finishing the race. So I've gone from no one wanting to talk to me to responsibility of winning the race.
And the respect of...
I've got a mega picture of me going over the line, like winning the first Suzuka. Fucking hell, unbelievable. And that was a funny story. So they were like, just the difference in that was you wouldn't think.
Did that secure you the opportunity to ride the MotoGP?
And then I won the Suzuka, and Suji-san, who was the boss of, because the World Superbike project's a Yamaha Europe project, and the Suzuka was a Yamaha Japan, like the MotoGP, so it's quite linked. I just said to the boss after finish, I wouldn't mind to go on the MotoGP bike. And he goes, oh, okay, Alexander. And I'm thinking, well, I'm never going to get a go. Anyway, the week after, Bradley Smith got injured at the similar time, and they said, oh, they want me to ride at Silverstone. Yeah, do you want to ride at Silverstone? Yeah,
I think I can make myself available for that.
I'll check my calendar.
And the first time, and Paul was my teammate then, because he was riding with Tech 3, and when I went to leave pit lane, I didn't know how to put the bike in gear. Honestly, it's like races, like we say, it's never like you think from the outside. So getting my leathers done, I've got fucking monster Yamaha Tech 3 leathers from a home Grand Prix. Fucking hell, you're going out with the best in the world. You feel absolutely... you feel like...
Well, it's every single box.
You feel like you've moved up a group in a track day, though, don't you? You're in there thinking, fuck me, I'm up a group.
Finally in the fast
I've never rode the bike. I've never rode the tyres. I've got no idea what's going on. And people expect you just to be all right with it. And I'm going out. The guys put the bike out into pit lane. I've got on the bike to ride out of pit lane. I can't put it in gear. I'm like, fucking hell. Like, why won't it go into gear? So I've got a clutch in, it won't go into gear. Well, I didn't know that it's a lever. You have to push this lever on the handlebar, and neutral's at the bottom. So you
seamless box in it. Yeah, that's it.
Just go up and go and keep going. I'm like, fucking, that's just anyway. Then I've got out of pit lane, managed to get out. I'm going out of pit lane thinking, everyone was watching. Got out of pit lane. Valentino comes past me into the complex and just gives us one of them. Gives us a casual outside handoff, thumbs up, in he goes.
Do you think that was you know what you're doing? You know the stage that you're at now.
Yeah.
Do you think that, because he's human enough to think like that? I think
he just thought,
fair play.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, should I just pull in now and that's it, just retire from racing? Because I don't need to do anything else, because he's put his
Rossi's
thumb up.
just giving me the thumb.
And I'm on track behind him, and he's just giving me the thumbs up. I might as well just fucking pull in the tips.
I remember him telling me that story, because he came in and said, that Sam's a lovely lad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What a lovely... I gave Sam the biggest thumbs up of his life, you know what I mean?
He's got a right opportunity this weekend. I mean?
Shame about his brother Alex, you know what I mean? What a
the weekend after at Misano, I followed him for 5 laps in FP4, and he didn't pull away from me. And I genuinely followed him. And I thought, okay, I've done all right there. And the hardest bit was accepting that you're going around the track the same speed as him, or similar. He was a bit quicker, but I'm going around similar speed.
To Valentino.
It's like I struggled with that a bit. But
What, just to compute it?
Just to think.
Just to accept it.
This is a mega situation I'm in, and I'm doing it, and I'm like, you got to believe in yourself that you can actually be there, haven't you?
Yeah.
But it was a nice situation. I did the 2 races. I finished in the points, my first ever go on the bike at Silverstone. It rained all a Saturday, and I finished 12th in the race. Got some points in MotoGP weekend.
Fair play.
It's what, like,
that's excellent.
That is a huge, like, that's not even, that is just a dream scenario. You know, Rossi's, you know,
unbelievable.
Even if he didn't give you a thumbs up, the fact that you can tow him,
it gets better. It gets better than that. So turned up.
Well, like,
I've just remembered.
First class. So this is what happened that week.
What year was this?
This was 2016. So, 25 years old. I've won Suzuka for Yamaha. Bonus was ridiculous because they overpaid that race. That's another story. But asked him if can I go on the MotoGP bike. Next thing, you're in a race weekend on a MotoGP bike, and it's your home race at Silverstone.
Yeah.
So it's like goosebump stuff anyway. What you dream about. They've got me. I've got a massive motorhome, like the biggest motorhome you've ever seen. They've got for me for the weekend, so that's mint. I'm there with my missus. I don't really have sex on a race weekend much, but
that week
banged her before the race, literally 20 minutes before getting my leathers on. She won't like saying that, but little bit of relaxing in the motorhome because that mint the motorhome. Did the race,
woke up with a monster deal, twins. Like she's going to work. God, give that boy a contract.
Yeah. Did the race, got a couple of points, and then part of the deal was Yamaha let me race the MotoGP bike, but on the Monday I'm testing in Magny-Cours on the World Superbike. So they sent me a private jet down from Silverstone down to France.
Shut up, man.
Private jet, and Sam's like, I'm coming with you. All right then, mate. So we went from Silverstone.
What did you say? No, I'm MotoGP star now.
Fuck off, Sam. Get a taxi.
Moto bike.
There's a number for an Uber.
Yeah, from Silverstone. Private plane down to south of France, and then on the Monday I was doing a few laps on the Superbike in Magny-Cours, and then Misano with the week after. That's dream stuff.
Did that carry you into the next World Superbike round with a lot more confidence?
Yeah, it was a tough year on the World Superbike because we had arrived in 2016, the first year of the project, expecting the bike to be at a certain level. Josh Brooks had won in BSB on the Yamaha, but the
Milwaukee one.
The Milwaukee one, but it was the first year of that evolution of the R1. But because of electronics and many things, it didn't really. I was teammates with Sylvan, and it was a tough year. We couldn't get everything working well. We was a long way behind before we started. So we realised we had a lot of work to do. So to do Suzuka, have a good result there, have a good, I've got a lot of confidence riding the MotoGP bike and riding with them guys and being quite fast and competitive. So the year it was actually a mega year for me, even though on paper in World Superbike it was a tough year.
The results don't, yeah. Did you find that you could take any of the technology away from what they were running on that Suzuka bike? Did you go, or are they sharing it anyway?
There's stuff I could say, which I don't know if it's...
You're a Kawasaki rider, don't worry about it too.
Yeah.
No, but as in, had they put stuff on that bike?
Me going to Suzuka and riding like I did has made the World Superbike project at Yamaha a lot better, because I was with a Japanese and I asked them to their face if they could help the World Superbike project.
So and that communication isn't normally there.
That year, the Japanese did a test in Portimao with Nakasuga and the Pirelli World Superbike, and people wouldn't know that on the 8-hour bike. And I believe a lot of that's because of
your conversation.
Sticking your neck out and going.
Paul Denning will agree with me, but that's what happened basically.
So they don't normally talk. There isn't normally a crossover in communication with them.
Not massively, because it's a full Yamaha Europe project. But now it's Yamaha Racing Italy. It's a lot closer from electronic side. There's a little bit of crossover, but it's still funded by Yamaha Europe, the World Superbike program. But yeah, that is
even I'm struggling at that. Is just, was it anticlimactic, the fact of getting off, bombing around, chasing Valentino Rossi, and getting on that? No, don't get me wrong. Private jet down, hopping on the Superbike. You're like, that is, mate. You couldn't have written that. You know what I mean? You couldn't have written that. But like getting on, from that bike to that bike, where you're going around going, this is a bit shit.
No, I was going around the World Superbike. The World Superbike was. Like the MotoGP bike then, 2016 Yamaha had been so good for so long that it was just sorted. Without sounding, it was easy to ride. I shouldn't say that, but the tyre, it was the first year of controlled tyre, and the front Michelin, I don't understand. I kept closing the front, and I didn't have enough time on the bike to really understand the tyre. Not at that level, because I was pushing as hard as I possibly could, and you need more time, don't you, than that really. But I didn't have that luxury. I had to go for it because.
You
what chance have you got?
You got a rip. Yeah.
You got no chance. So that was the hardest bit, was the front tyre. But the bike itself, honestly, was not. I need to be careful. It was not as difficult to ride at a certain speed. To ride and race against them guys at the front is another level. But the Superbike, because it wasn't the finished article of everything being sorted. It was like it was harder to ride, I would say.
All right, very honest.
No more conversations from the Grand Prix paddock after that, though. Because to finish 12th in your first Grand Prix on a bike that you've never ridden before, in a class you've never ridden before,
come on,
you must have. There must have been a few sort of. Oh, hang on, this is Sam's brother.
Yeah, this is Sam's brother.
but he's right though. But has anyone ever come close to what you achieved? That hold on, give me someone prior to that. We're talking, you know what I mean? You're talking shall we do I dare say, the good old days when you used to turn up at a GP.
Someone like Ben Spies would have done it.
More than that, what was better was, where I finished was where I finished, but what I liked was I was less than 40 seconds. I think it was the year that Maverick won on the Suzuki, and I was less than 40 seconds off the win. I think I'd like to check now, that cause I don't want to make it sound better than it was, but I think I was 20 seconds behind Lorenzo over the whole race, and I remember thinking, fucking hell, that's not bad. And bearing in mind Saturday was wet, so I only had Friday in the dry on a MotoGP bike, and then I'm straight morning warm up was dry. I'd arm pump like you wouldn't believe after 4 laps, because I'm didn't know how to do the start. But I remember thinking I've done all right there. But I was so into the World Superbike project that I never really had many options to go to MotoGP. I have done actually at certain points on but not a good bike.
You'd be going in as a development. It's a development.
Not really
team
interested in doing that. And Yamaha was good, because after that first Suzuka, they were mega keen for the next year at Suzuka, and then they brought a relationship with the World Superbike, and I wasn't doing as well as I needed to do at World Superbike at that time. I think 2016 was the only year in World Superbike where I didn't have a podium, because on the Suzuki I had podiums since, but that year, and it was hard because the reality was the bike wasn't where everyone expected it to be, so it's hard for everybody, hard for the whole project. So I had to stay in World Superbike, and then obviously it got better, and then I missed the boat because I was a bit old, really. That's that. That's all she wrote on World MotoGP.
Fair, it's more than most people are ever going to get a sniff at, to be fair.
Crashed it a few times, but...
Did you?
Yeah, Hervé Pont, of course it is, but you got two choices.
Just trying to get feel?
Yeah, I couldn't feel the front. The front was always on the front. But that year was the first year of Michelin, a lot of front crashes. And
it was one.
I found it quite harsh, really. I think maybe that's what went against me. But
the crashes went against
maybe, but the perspective is you're going to jump on a MotoGP bike with no experience and race against the best guys in the world on bikes they know, at tracks they know. You're on a bit of a wing and a prayer, really, aren't you? So to do what I did was good. I remember in the free practice at Misano, a track that I'd not really gone well at, I was 12th, 11th, 12th in the sessions, 1 second from the fastest, thinking I could do all right at this if you had a good go. But you're going to crash. You either ride around at the back. I guess when some people have had that one-off wildcard opportunity and you ride around at the back trying to feel where you're going and build your speed up, I'm not like that. I remember thinking, if this is the only chance I ever get on a MotoGP bike, I'm giving it everything, I'm going to enjoy it. And if I smash a few bikes up, then that's it. And I don't regret any of it, really.
What a man.
We're either going to do well here or put it over the fence. Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah, obviously I didn't go out trying to crash it, but I was not scared of crashing it because I wanted to get a full experience of the bike. I did. It meant.
That's mega.
I'm literally sitting here gobsmacked. That is
because you see it and you see the result, you see that opportunity, but then the story behind. Yeah, actually, that's what people want to hear. That's what people want to know about.
Yeah, especially in our game, because I think we're so quick in any game, but you're so quick to judge people. You see someone doing well or bad. I was doing well. He's had this. If someone's doing well, you think they've had all the opportunities in the world. If someone's doing bad, you think that.
I said something about this last time. It pisses me off, keyboard warriors. They wind me up to high heaven because I just think, just keep your shit to yourself. Yeah. You know, there's a person inside that pair of leathers and that helmet. There's a human being that's either someone's dad or husband or son. And 100%. Psychologically, I don't care who you are. You get home, you sit there, and you maybe don't need to read what someone's put, but you'll find out because someone will say to you, "Fucking hell, have you seen this?"
Yeah, but it don't worry me. Honestly, a hand on my heart, it's never ever bothered me because I know what I put into it. I don't need to justify myself.
Well, it's always that criticism it does. It always comes from someone who's got no idea. They've never been there.
What does annoy me? What really gets to me is criticism of Sam. Which is weird.
Isn't it? Yeah.
People say what they want about me. I'm not bothered. I know I made mistakes. I know I do my best. But Sam is like Sammy's career path has been like winging it a bit, winning British Supersport, straight into World Supersport. Fucking no one's like, we haven't been at Spain since at 13, 14, 15 in the Red Bull rookies learning how to ride properly. We're just grabbing a Supersport bike by the handlebars and having a go around Upton Park and trying to win. So then when you naturally get to Grand Prix and then bikes that are a bit stiffer, you have to ride in a certain way, let's say. Yeah. But it's ingrained in you from when you're a kid. So Sam grabs it and has a go and he crashes a bit. And I think, well, he gets so much stick for it, but he's gone into that paddock, he's won some Grand Prix, he's had a go, and why does everyone have to get on him all the time about that?
Yeah.
And he don't deal with it well, and that's what I think annoys me. But criticism about myself, it don't worry me. And you know what? I've been a lot better person since I try not to be like that about other people. I try and, you never know someone's story, do you? So
you don't know what people are going through, do you? That's the thing. Yeah.
Does he feel the same towards you?
Not really. I'm a stronger character than he. Won't worry about me.
Yeah, because he knows you won't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't.
He'll just sit there going,
that sort of stuff wouldn't bother me. He might worry about other things, but he won't worry about that. Someone could say what they want to me, and I'm like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
If you're saying that, you don't know me, so I'm definitely not going to waste my time worrying about it. And I think I'm lucky that some people can't. I see it in other sports, even worse than our sport, like football or whatever. I know they get paid a lot. And I've watched the World Cup and have an opinion on them. I think, come on, Alex, it's not obviously not as easy as it looks. It never is in any sort of sport. So, yeah, I don't know.
Football's the wrong example. It's a piece of piss. You kick the air ball and
into the goal.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Bad example, but in general, I think it's.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's keyboard warriors sitting on the sofa doing the best, aren't they? You know what I mean?
I'll me die, Evan. I'm just thinking, I've got a mortgage to worry about. I'll cut in the grass or something. Just go away.
Yeah. But yeah, so it does it. Sometimes it gets me about Sam. But
what was your last year on that Yamaha?
19.
2019
was the last year. Do you know what? The only thing I will say that would have been a bit better for me is, at 19 I rode well. I had like a full 12 months from the middle of 18 to the middle of 19. I had a full calendar year where I had no DNFs, which was good for me. And then 2019 finished third in the championship, finished the year strong, went to Kawasaki, and then I won the first race, and then we had COVID. We had like 5 months at home, and if we could have kept going then and kept that momentum going, I think I would have. I think it would have been good for me, but I'm building it back up now. So, but yeah, 2019 was the last year on the Yamaha.
You've got some tough competition, haven't you?
It's good, isn't it?
It is good. No, I think it is good, and like you say, you're there, right? You're knocking on the door with it. It's just that last little
when I
bit.
start thinking about this, because I'm no different to any of you, but when you start thinking about it, you can wind yourself up about any of it. But then I think, well, I'm pretty decent as well, and I'm working my balls off, and I'm going to make sure that I get to that first race, and I've done the work on my tyres, I've put the effort in, so that if they want to beat me, they got to beat me as well. I want to be just as strong opposition as they are. And I've stopped, like in the past, I used to be like, I want to win, I want to do that. All I try and do now is every day I ride a bike, I try and do the best I can.
Yeah.
And if it don't go right, the next day I'll try and do it again.
Yeah.
And again. And then I get to the end of the year and I see where I am. I'll either be good or not. But worrying about it, what might happen, or others, I just can't control it, can you?
I think, like we briefly touched on it earlier in the interview, it's like when you talk about your Yamaha experiences and everything was like Yamaha and championships and then swapping over, and how nervous were you to the change to Kawasaki?
No, what made me nervous, I was excited. I was excited to ride with Johnny because he's in my World Superbike career, and obviously on paper he's one of the best ever.
Oh, 100%.
So it's been hard jumping into his team. Not his team, I shouldn't say it like that, but naturally when you've won 6 world titles, if you say
he's the bench,
he's the benchmark, and if he wants the front wheel in the back, then that's the right way to do it, isn't it? So it's hard sometimes to come in with that sort of, and you can't argue it works for them. But I wasn't nervous.
Not directly like towards Kawasaki. It's just like when you know something works. Like the Yamaha. No, I mean,
I was sad to leave Yamaha.
Or Honda, you know what I mean? It's that for me. It's a bit like you could. Me sitting here listening to your story, you're like, we could see the progression.
I was sad to leave Yamaha. If I'm honest, the relationship I had with Yamaha, the 8 hour that I felt like I did so much for that project. I remember some tests in the winter doing 120 laps at RF to try and make the bike and that better, and I felt like it was getting better, and it's still getting better. And maybe when I got off it, I was in what I felt what I felt a little bit, and I don't begrudge Yamaha, because if you have the opportunity to sign Top Rack and he's gone and been world champion, it's fully justified, and he's a good lad, and they've done well. But everything was going the right way.
Yeah.
I was beating Van der Mark, I was doing well, the bike was getting better, and as the bike got better, my results got better. So it was a shame, and I was very close with that team.
Yeah. Do you almost feel like it's unfinished business as well, because you didn't get to finish your project almost?
Yeah, I was happy for them, honestly, when they won the championship. I would like to win the championship, but they've put a lot in, and they deserve that. But yeah, I would have liked to have. I think that next year, 2020, I think I would have been very strong on the Yamaha, I think. But it's easy to say that.
Yeah.
Because I won the first race on the Kawasaki, and when I jumped on the Kawasaki, I didn't feel as good as I did on the Yamaha. It took some time because I'd been on it a long time. It's natural that there's always that transition period.
When they set that bike up for you for the first time, that Kawasaki, did you go in and say, all right, boys, I normally have it like, I tend to like it nose heavy, or did you give them that scope, or did they kind of go, this is what we've done with Jonathan, so this is where we're going to put it as a starting point, and we work from there?
Yeah, basically it was just, they told me how to have it and I had to ride it.
Right.
And that was hard to start with.
Yeah.
Because I felt like...
Because that's the Jonathan Ray influence there.
I felt like I'd earned the right...
Because like we were saying, that
yeah, I felt like I'd earned the right...
Yeah.
Obviously, as a rider developing the Yamaha, you got to say that I was the only guy that was there the whole time in the first years. I put a lot into it, and it was getting better. So obviously, some of what I know how it needs to be. I find it hard because they were like, "Well, this is what works, so you need to ride like that." And when I said I can't do this, I can't do that, rather than helping me with the bike, they would talk to me about my riding, and I'm like, well,
you're the problem.
Yeah, I was
we
the
know
problem.
It works because he's done it,
and that was hot. Yeah, which was tough. Yeah, that was tough the first year, because it's like, well, I don't do it like that. I do it my way. I do it my way well.
Got to gain your own respect from them,
and that's what's had to happen. And at the start, I was getting a bit, and I thought, that's not going to work. I need to find a way to manage this. And obviously, okay, so different crew chief. First time I'd worked in a foreign team, because Crescent was English. A lot of the guys were English, and they're half Catalan, some Japanese, some Spanish. I had some experience with a few of the foreign engineers in Yamaha, but this was a full team that was okay. So how's it all working? And that's one of the such big teams now, very political, and it's understanding how to get what you need from the bike without just coming. If they're not going to come in and just listen to you, you need to find another way to do it. And I had to earn my respect, but it's good now. But it has been tough to start with.
Did you find in that situation that you were having to make suggestions about things that you didn't, going back to the conversation, the Davis conversation, don't come in and tell me how to fix it. Did you have to do a little bit of that to make a bit of progress?
I found that I was getting frustrated, that I just felt like they weren't listening to anything that I was saying, because they believed they knew how to do it better.
Yeah.
And what was hard was there's a crossover point between them letting me try something and it working, and me falling out with them before that happens. And luckily we managed to get somewhere, and I think I've helped them now, and we've got good respect now. And I was well happy that I started the Kawasaki project, and what you don't see is there's so much time away from the track, testing, training with the guys, and what I like is I've stayed with teams a long time, so it means I must work with them quite well.
Yeah.
And in 2021, I did my shoulder really bad pre-season training, flat tracking.
I remember reading that.
And it was terrible. It was a bad year, because I was expecting a lot. After the first year at Kawasaki, we did 6 rounds because of COVID. It was a weird time in the world for everyone. It was sort of a write-off year, really. You didn't learn anything. And so 2021 was, I knew I could do well on the bike. I had podiums and won races the first year on it. Got injured. Felt like the year was a bit shit. But they knew Kawasaki, and they offered me a 2-year deal. And I thought, that was massive. Game. That was probably, that was massive in this game, because I thought, well, they obviously trust me, so just get healthy. And then that's why last year I felt like it was a lot better. This year's good, and I think that it's going well now.
It's all about, like you say, it's all about getting a balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've done one test already, haven't you?
We did a test in December, but it was just like a function test. So basically, you ride around just pulling wheelies. No, you don't, but I did. But we just ride around trying stuff to give them the 6. You don't even know what's in there. They put a map in the bike. You do 10 laps. You come in, and then they've got that information to try and improve the bike for this next lot of testing. So
did they ask you for your feedback at that point?
No.
So they're just saying, go and
Off
run
you
it.
go.
Because there's nothing different. It might be a new software that, as long as the bike runs properly, they can then
build on it and start making alterations.
So it was electronic test, really, which is always boring, really.
Just wheelie time.
I was just doing some wheelies and then some onto the back straight.
Big power slides.
Yeah, they're like, why was the traction control on -4? I'm like, well, I might have been doing a few slides. And they just love it. They love it.
Thing is, I think you need to do that to just keep
100%.
yourself like enthusiastic and enjoying yourself. They'll get so much more out of you if you're yipping it up, pulling wheelies. And
it was hard because it was the week after Phillip Island. We flew back from Phillip Island and went straight there.
Right.
It was literally like, and then obviously, it's like now with the family.
Yeah.
To be fair, I did one night at home. The kids didn't sleep. I thought, oh, get me out of here straight away.
Bad, isn't it? You're away a fortnight. You think, I just want to go and see the little ones, and you're in the house 2 hours out. You think, fucking, I need to
when am I going away again?
Just get out of the house. So bad, isn't it?
Yeah. But
love's a funny thing.
We've got we did some tests prior to that in Aragon and stuff, and before we went over to Indonesia and Australia. And I think we've got a few little tweets coming from, and it's nice because it's sort of my input now is finally coming back. What I've sort of been asking for, or working with my crew chief for. This year will be the first proper year where what I've asked for, let's see if it's better or not. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Oh God, I'm sorry, I'm just sitting here going, just someone give you a wild card again on MotoGP. Like, you know what I mean? That would just be absolutely phenomenal. I'll tell you what, I've been flicking through like the Patreon questions, and I must nick this, and we're going to change the subject slightly.
No problem.
This is from Sticks. Who would win between you and Sam in golf, racing and fighting?
Me.
That was such an easy answer. Oh, come on.
Golf, I definitely beat him.
You know what surprised me with you races? You play a golf. You do the most fueled up adrenaline sport.
I don't know how you do golf that, emptying the bats into a pole, into
exactly.
a pond, because I ain't got that. It just riles me.
Yeah, but I used to be like that. I used to be right hot-headed. I'm obviously experienced helps a bit, but I was just young and enthusiastic. I was working with a guy from Sporting Edge called Michael Caulfield. Like, is a I don't want to use the word sports psychologist, but I guess that's what he does. He's worked with some footballers and used to work with AP McCoy, the jockey, and he said, "Why don't you play golf?" I went, "Play golf? Boring, isn't it? I don't play golf. I just want to smash it as hard as I can. And when it don't go where I want to smash something else." And he said, "No, because it's good. Some of the techniques you use, like focusing and being calm and resetting on the next shot, it will help you with your racing." All right, fair enough. So then I'm playing golf, and sometimes I used to play golf with him, and he used to speak about it. Yeah, bad shot. Okay, it's done now. No matter how pissed off you get with that golf shot, you can't have it back. It's done, mate. It is done. There's no way of going back. So what are you going to do? Be pissed off on the next shot and mess up again, or are you going to start again and try and hit a good shot? And I thought, so then a lot of stuff started making sense. And then what happened, because we're competitive, then you start playing more, then you get a bit all right at it, and then you get into it.
Then you're into it.
And that's why we all got into golf. And then we've got a bit of money, and then we've got to start doing bets, and then it's...
Because Leon plays a lot of golf, and he used to play with Harris.
He's a bandit. Yeah, I've played with Bomber.
He's a bandit.
Bomber I saw him snap a few clubs.
Yeah, he came to our motorhome at Knock Hill one year, and he said, "I've just played a fucking round of golf with Aslan." He's a...
Cheating. Yeah. I'm sure he's got golf trousers that have got like secret pockets on the inside where he just drops balls out.
Yeah.
We need to ask him about that. What's funny with Leon,
I can't even tell you what Bomber called him.
Yeah, what's funny with Leon, there'll be four of us. There'll be me, Sam, maybe one of other mates, and we'll be like, "Leon, you got a 5 there, I got 4. Leon, there's 3 adults here and you got 5, I got 4. Well, put what you want then, but I got 4. Well, you got 5, and he'll look at you, and he'll just not have it that he's lying, and he won't have it, and you just have to go, all right, whatever.
But you're better than Sam.
Yeah, I'm better than Sam because I'm good at putting.
We need Sam on though. We've got to try. We've got to clarify his answers,
because obviously, like originally on this show, we're going to get.
We'll ring him up and ask him, and he'll have to tell the truth. The only one he'll argue about, will be racing, because golf I'm going to beat him, and in a fight I'm going to beat him.
Well, you've got an inch on him, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got an inch on him.
I'm not beating him with that.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat him with that, but I've got an inch. And
is he not making the test? Well, there was Chasin The Racin show, and I had to beat him half the death.
Yeah, with a bat. But yeah, so he'd have to say it.
What has Sam got? God, like I've got better looking women. I'm an inch taller. I'm fighting. I'm golf. I'll do.
Who came out first?
He's got a few Grand Prix winners.
Yeah,
he says that he does say that sometimes. He does say that sometimes.
That's because
who came out the womb first?
Him.
We beat you on that one then.
Caesarean. So what happened was I was in.
Why is there an excuse for that as well?
I was in pole position. Sam was behind. It started raining on the grid, so we had to come off the back of the grid. So he came out first, and then but I was on pole. So that's what happened.
How many times have you been asked that question?
A lot, and that's a good answer.
Every time I've had time to process the question, I love it. I tell you what, it's
Do you know what is funny? Have you heard on Instagram? There's that. Do you watch much football or anything? Gary Neville does this thing, and he's you have to find it and look at it. And he's showing this part of the stand. He said, well, I was playing for England. He's come down here to warm up. And all the fans used to sing, if the Nevilles can play for England, so can I. Like this, like a chant.
Yeah.
And then I've been winding Sam up in the gym this week going, if Sam Lowe's can win a Grand Prix, so can I. so we can tell him that. If Sam Lowe's can win a Grand Prix, so can I. It's funny.
I tell you what, I hope all our listeners, we reach quite a few people, there'll be just a chant coming out.
It'll be like, if Alex Lowe's is a professional, so am I. That's what I mean. If Alex Lowe's can win BSB, then so can I. Cadwell, the whole bank will be singing it.
You'll be fully tuning into the Bennett show there, won't it be like that?
I recognise that.
Didn't want to sing anything. Yeah, there you go. We've got it's one of these questions, and I always refer to this as the Chrissy taking the piss question, because I always ask it every show. But also, we're getting this from Erin Jeffs. Have you ever considered road racing?
Given my record, there's maybe. Well, actually. I don't crash that much, but let's say the Lowe's twins, we got this bracket of crashing, and honestly, it's
all Sam.
A lot of it is Sam. Last year I had 6 crashes, which is unreal, really. 6 crashes, testing and racing, everything. It's not many, really.
That's not when you come.
Yeah, you compare to
the season.
Sam has a few, but he's a try. And but anyway, let's say given the record of being a bit of a crasher, I don't think it's the right. And
Have
Dean
you done
Harrison
a parade round that?
No, but Dean Harrison I was watching on board with Dean, and he was doing a commentary of the full lap. I was thinking, fucking hell, I've never used a braking marker in my life, and he has to use that many markers and references. I'm like, honestly, mate, I'm not cut out for that job. I'll just get lost. And obviously, I know you have to really do a lot of. It's impressive for me, and I do like it.
No, but then that impresses me in turn, because then if you've got a physical visual marker, you can a break there. All right, that was all right. You go a little break. No, but that's what I mean.
I'll tell you why. Because if that's my braking marker there, this is my theory when I was younger. I'm going to brake there every time, but I don't want to go faster. You need to brake there, but you're still going to brake there because you're going to brake there every time. I just thought, nah, not doing that.
So you just do it on feel.
Yeah,
just.
And
I think now.
Yeah.
It's working all right for you, to be fair.
There's a couple of places, after a real long straight, like Magny-Cours, that long straight with a bit of an angle, I find something there, but only after a real long straight. In general, I don't use many markers now. But a lot of people I've spoke to don't. And then you go and you get to learn how to ride on a focused, on any track day.
Track days, they put a cone out.
But I guess I know it's different, but and I think, okay, no, I don't use them. I need a cone. I need to put my own cones out. I think I might go faster. If you watch World Superbike this year, and I've got a few cones lined out, you know that I've tried something different.
Spray paint on the floor. They have some of that.
Yeah.
Everyone chanting in the background. I love that. I'm going to be singing that on the way home. It's a long drive home. Me and him just singing there, singing away. So, okay, in theory, now we talked about this, so it's a bit. You're not in Worlds, and you feel like you're not going fast enough anymore. In your opinion, you feel like you're not pushing for wins at that point. And you would honestly never go back to BSB. You would just
Well, I don't know, because you can't speak for until that situation is there. Do you know what I mean? Because if I don't get a good ride in World Superbike, but I still feel like I'm fast enough to, then I might still feel so. But what I mean is, when I don't have the motivation to feel like I can still push, I won't want to go back to BSB and say I want a load of money to come back. I'd want to do like a test at Cadwell or a tough track, see if I was still fast enough, and see if
the passion.
See if I've still got it, and then make a decision. I wouldn't just want to go, you know what? I've been in World Superbike. I won BSB 10 years ago. No one gives a fuck who won BSB 10 years. It's not going to help me now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd need to know if I would. I'd need to know if I was fast enough to have the motivation to give it everything I've got, because I feel like regardless of the money, it's not fair to come back and take a spot of someone that's been where I've been, pushing the balls off, maybe winning Super Stock or Super Sport that wants to get a step up. Why should you come back and take a ride? I would only come back. I'm not saying I wouldn't come back. Maybe after this year.
Do you know how many people will be happy to hear that, though? You know what I mean? Because when we kind of touched on it before, I thought, there'll be loads of... Imagine you're coming back.
Yeah.
That would be... You know what I mean?
What I would love is coming back to see all the fans, because I love it going to Donington, and it's the only chance you proper get... And I still feel like I've got a good following, because obviously growing up in the British paddock, go to Donington, you're not seeing people maybe for a lot of them since Donington last year. And
yeah.
I love that.
I think so many people as well remember... I do, because we raced 125s together in like 2006, was it? You know, like the KRP days on it. There was Westy and Dan Cooper and all them boys were doing it. And I think people do have almost a bit of an emotional attachment to you and your brother, because it's the Lowe's boys. It's the little blonde-haired lads that were
maybe
smashing bikes up. But do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't like to do that. I wouldn't like to... I wouldn't want to stop racing before I feel ready to, and then feel like I still want to ride. But I wouldn't want to come back to BSB, ride around in 10th, 11th place, not really enjoy it, and then be remembered for that. I'd want to be decent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not one of these riders that sits there and thinks, wow, riding World Superbikes, so BSB's easy. I understand exactly, because I follow it. I follow every class. I know who's doing what in all the classes. So I know how hard BSB is for what it is. I know how good I am, but it's a completely different way of riding. You have to ride completely different at Alton Park and Cadwell Park. But if I still had the motivation, I had a good ride, and I tried it, and I was quite quick, then maybe. But I'm not... I still think that I've got a good few years of World Superbike, and I'd like to make a good step, win some races, and I'm still dreaming about challenging for a World Championship.
Good man.
Because Jonathan's talked about maybe another year or two, and then that's it, really. And he's saying he'll step back. Do you think he will?
Nah.
The thing is, with Johnny, I still feel like he's got a lot of fire in his belly, and he's still riding well. And he's 35, coming up 36. It's not like he's 40.
He's still young, isn't he? And he's got the drive.
As long as you're winning races and you're at the front, I don't think age really matters. I feel like if you get to 38 and you ride around in 10th, 11th and moaning, that's what tends... You see it, don't you? They start to moan and make excuses. But if you're at the front, you're doing your job and you're loving it, I think... Why should he stop? Obviously, he can stop whenever he wants. He's got a lovely family and it's up to him. But you're long time stopped as well, aren't you?
That's the other side of it.
When you step back from what you've done,
but we talk about, like, you know, like we were actually talking about it on the way down, like, you know, the age stigma element. It's a bit like, but here's a question. You know, when you look at like Moto 3 and stuff like that, and what is the age? They've actually raised the age to 16. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was 13, wasn't it?
It's all too young. I feel like...
There we are, that's the question.
I feel like I wish it was all a bit delayed. I feel like we should let kids be kids. If everyone started the whole journey 5 years later, it won't make no difference, because everybody's career would just be a few years later, and you won't get people at 26 years old with nowhere to go, done a few years of MotoGP, and then all of a sudden be like, well, what do I do now?
And arguably they've had the most important years of where they figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah,
they dropped in the... Well, I think, hang on, I've dropped out of school. I haven't done anything else.
So I do think it's an issue. You're going to end up with the whole MotoGP grid being less than 26 years old. Well, what are they going to do? The whole grid going to stay the same for 10 years? It can't, can it?
And it's a safety thing as well for me. I think, you know, if you make them, like, say, hang on 4 or 5 years, you've got lads in Moto 2 that aren't 15, 16-year-old headbangers. You're putting in there just a little bit more maturity. Where
the problem is the Spanish and Italians, they've been riding so long.
Around car parks and,
Me, at 15, 16, was 3 years behind them.
Yeah.
Because from 8, they'd been riding around small tracks, small go-kart tracks, and they're out of school every Wednesday afternoon to do a bigger go-kart track. We're just so far behind. So you get to Grand Prix and you're actually, in terms of how much riding that you've done, you're 13 and they're 16. And that, but I just think that as long as you've got, it's like anything, you've got to do what everyone else is doing, haven't you? And that's why it's all got less and less and less, and they're trying to get the next MotoGP kid at 17. You don't need to be a MotoGP at 18. Go at 23 and do 10 years, can't you?
Yeah.
You don't need to be, but they're just because Marquez and they all change it. But you have to be, like, even Valentino did his 2 years in 125. He did his 2 years in 250, and then he moved up. And they don't do it anymore, do they? They're just trying to get him in there, fast tracking people. Like Darren Binder didn't need to be fast tracked to MotoGP, did he?
No.
I mean, obviously it worked for Millie. He had a few bad years, but being Australian, they needed one in there. Casey had stopped it. A few things went for him. And being a good mate of his now, I'm happy it did. I think he's a very, very talented rider. But if it didn't quite go for him in the first 2 years and didn't get another opportunity, which he might not have done if he was from somewhere else, because he didn't go too well to start with, what would he be doing now? And I think he's one of the best, most talented riders we've got.
Maybe stacking shells in Bunnings, wouldn't he?
It's fishing, wouldn't it?
That's the problem, isn't it?
That's the problem.
It's almost not fair on that individual, is it? You know,
because hindsight in this game would all be world champions if we had hindsight. No, but it's, you know, if you went back to the 19-year-old you and said, let's just fast track you to MotoGP, you would jump on it, wouldn't you? You know,
you would, but that's where the need.
I would have crashed my brains out, and I probably wouldn't be racing now. Then.
No, but that's the hindsight element, isn't it? But like the thing is, if like I've not done that at all, but like we were talking about the fact of like you're on a bike and you think I may never get this opportunity again.
Yeah.
And that's something that's hard to replace, isn't it? Every step in our lives have led up to that point. You think, this may never happen again.
Yeah, so you've got no choice but to get everything you've got.
That's the thing, isn't it? But I agree with you on the age. I do agree with you on the age element. The fact of like,
as well,
it could be a kid a little longer. But then, changing that, you'd have to delay motocross, because you started off in the motocross background as well, and you think, are you just going to motocross for a bit longer? But you're going to go around car parks for a bit longer, and it's a question that could go in a loop forever, couldn't it? You know what I mean?
I don't know the answer, but I know now. If you want to be an English MotoGP champion, your whole childhood, school, and everything has to be completely forgotten.
Yeah. And you need to be in Spain.
That's the only way to do it. You need to move to Spain or move to a hot country where you can ride all the time. You're not going to get any education with your mates, any education with school. And if you don't go well, what are you going to be doing then? You have no chance to get through life. You're just going to be used to a paddock life, and then what do you do?
I'll tell you what, that is like, we're continuing like chasing the race and to keep Chrissy's legacy going. You know, we built this show and everything, and that is definitely one of Chrissy's main established points about him. He never bragged about it, he never talked about it on air, but he knew how important his education was.
Yeah.
Because his education got him into a job. He knew what he wanted. He wanted to be a bike racer, and that's what he became. He became a BSB rider.
Yeah.
He fulfilled that dream.
Yeah.
But even he knew, I need a plan B.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that is actually not drilled. You know, you're not a qualified electrician.
At 15, you don't want to hear it. Yeah.
You don't want to hear that. No. But I think that's, and we had Sylvan on, and it was like that element of actually, you know, where he didn't have a plan B, did he?
No.
He had no plan B, and you think there is more, unfortunately, in this world, there's more failures and successes. And you think that's something that is not drilled into this. No. And I think Chrissy was a perfect ambassador.
Yeah.
You see, there is no creature like it. You know, you think you work hard, you should have met him. He just worked. He was a different animal.
Yeah.
But that is something that needs to be taught more. The fact of having a plan B. Unfortunately, I think I'll be stuck in my plan B. I want to be a pro TT rider. But like, you know, what are you? You're like the jack of all trades. You know, lads. No,
you just keep plate spinning, don't you?
Of course you do.
And doors shut, and you just pray to fuck another door's going to open, and I'm winging it through life every day, you know. But I do try and think, if there's any opportunity that comes up, I try and grab it. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's with Triumph or whether it's riding electric scooters or whether it's landscaping or what. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I've just got to keep. I'm a grafter. I want to pay my bills and everything else, you know. And I also like the fact that life throws you all these different variety of things.
But you think like that because you're well educated,
but I think
in life,
it goes back to that same thing that you said when you started with a little bit of influence from the Haslams and then Hodgson.
Yeah.
The importance with these kids, and maybe it's just my opinion, but I think it echoes what you're saying. When they're 13 or 14, the importance of a manager or just a bit of an influence of somebody a little bit older to say, mate, I know that this is the be all and end all, and you know what, we believe in you. I'm going to support you 100% because I think you'll go far. But 5 days a week for 6 hours a day, you're going to go in there and you're going to fucking listen.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that isn't going out the garage.
Yeah.
And
that's why I'm thankful to my dad.
I had that. My dad said,
I respect that.
You're a little bastard. We're not going racing.
Yeah, simple as
Done.
that.
You do your study and we go racing.
I don't think there should be any alternative to that because it just makes little bastards, and that's what you end up with. And we've got that. I've seen it. Loads of times I've seen kids come up to me and tell me, "Oh, I'm going to be." I think, well, you don't know what you're going to be, but what you should be doing is fucking going to school in case you're not that.
And I can tell you what you are. You're a little shit.
Yeah, and that's what. And English and British kids, we seem to be worse at that. We're a bit entitled. Well, I want to do that, so I'm going to do that. Well, no, you can't do that unless you work your balls off, mate. That's the only solution. Is to get up and work your balls off every day. That's actually the only solution, really.
But how do you protect the young lads that are coming through it now?
I don't know.
Because that is the difficult thing. Because we're back in that paradox to go and be world champion or like MotoGP quality. You need to sacrifice all of that, and that is what we're talking about. It's that element to do that. But as our beliefs, as we all just said, you need a foundation, and that foundation comes from graft. And I fully believe that, and I completely agree with you in the fact of like, actually, if you don't do your homework, you're not going riding this weekend, and I think there's less of that now. You know what I mean? From the parent, it's like, actually, you're going to go out. It's like, well, no. It's like even football, like Alan Shearer, Newcastle.
They're on the way back, aren't they?
We fucked it at the end there. But anyway, but like even when they became footballers, you think about there's no new footballers coming through taking on management jobs. When Shearer went to football, they had to have an apprenticeship in management.
Yeah.
They had to have an education alongside the football. And you think sport in general should have that.
Yeah.
Now, not just our sport. Like you need this to get that.
Yeah, because
you'll be amazed how many less kids will be on the grid.
Yeah.
And that will actually fine out the crop.
Yeah.
Cream comes to the top. It's a bit like you're saying, shit, well, I want to do that. No, but I've got to do that to get to that. A lot of kids can't, especially the
people
brats.
want it, but they don't. The people want to do it, but they don't want to work hard.
They want it delivered.
Yeah.
They are. There's 80 grand for a ride.
Yeah.
Go, you just crack on, son. And they think the world will deliver. It's actually, if you do this, you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it should be, but it's not. Nah.
It's hard
But then the paradox continues because you need money to go into that. Like if I could pay for a ride, I would, but I really can't. You know.
Yeah.
But how much is a ride at Worlds?
I don't, because I don't like this subject. Because no, honestly, because
you're going to feel as passionate about it as I do.
Yeah,
the balance is so wrong.
It gets to me because I genuinely feel like, and I shouldn't say this on, we're all massively into racing, and obviously it's been the best years have well and truly gone, mate. Because soon as we arrived in a situation in motorsport where people at a world championship level, good riders, were paying to ride, and you're a good rider, the job's fucked.
The job's fucked.
Yep.
100%.
Because then, what chance has anyone got?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if nobody paid to ride, then nobody would pay to ride.
This is my argument about another topic that I don't want to go into because I don't want to create a problem for myself, but exactly the same thing. The balance for this is wrong because there's still money coming into the sport.
Yeah.
But it's not going into the right places.
No.
And the people that are the stars of the show don't get it.
No. It is hard. I've been like I said, massively lucky. Me and Sam, we've been professional for whatever many years and made a living out of racing motorbikes. Like when was young kids riding around on a BMX just pretending to be racers, that's what you dream about doing.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to watch, and I look at people and I think they're paying to ride. In World Supersport's a good example, right? World Supersport is still a world championship level class, and it used to be a mega. I used to love watching World Supersport. You used to have Brock Parks, Kevin Curtin, all the Aussies was in there. Even Charpentier, they're just Muggeridge. There's so many mega riders in World Supersport, and they did well. And then that was it. Then they went to World Superbike, and then you saw if they made the step. Or Soft Wagley made loads of money out of winning World Supersport. Andrew Pitt, you could go on. Well, now you've got people that are winning and paying 100 grand or more to ride. So it will never recover from that.
And what makes no sense to me is that I know a lad, and I won't say his name, who is fucking quick, and he's been asked by the team to go and ride in World Supersport, and he'll do well, but he has to take 300,000.
Yeah.
How does that work? I've never been to a job interview, but I've never heard of anyone going to a job interview before and sitting down and them going, mate, you're perfect.
You can work at Asda's, but we need 20 grand off you, and you can do it.
Yeah, and you're perfect for it.
Yeah,
you'll do exactly what we need. You'll bring all the results. But by the way, you need to start paying.
No, because what happened about 10 years ago is people were doing that, and it's like car racing, and then people start running a team to make money. The sole objective for some of them teams in World Supersport must be to make money. It's a business, and it shouldn't be. I don't agree with it.
You're taking advantage of a passion.
Yeah.
Because like there's me foolishly. If I had the money, I would pay for a ride because I want to be on the grid. And not only do I want to be on the grid, I want to be
on the best bike possible.
Exactly, and it's like.
But it's not just
there
that,
you
is
are,
it?
and that's once it drips in, and I completely agree. In an ideal world, and if the world was perfect,
yeah, it is hard because I understand that our game is expensive and you need money to go racing. I understand all of that.
The second cigarettes went out the window. There was no big money. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
So I understand that, but I just can't accept that. Don't get me wrong, right? There's the way the system works is when you're young, you start racing. It's a hobby. Like essentially, it's a hobby to start with, isn't it? If you're younger, it's a hobby, but if you get to we're talking about World Championship or even the top level of, let's say, British Superbike, professional level, then British Superbike, World Super. If you're at that level, you shouldn't be paying to ride. I don't think that's where the cutoff is. If you're younger and you're 16 and you want to, then fair enough. But at that level,
invest in it.
At that level,
put some investment in.
I'd rather ride completely standard bikes that were really cheap, to have the guys that are on the bikes doing their job get paid for it. I'd rather have that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Than watching World Supersport and thinking, yeah, he's doing all right, but he's paid 200 grand to ride that Yamaha, so he's probably going to have a good chance of winning. That's not how it should be. But how we fix that problem, I've got no idea.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad you said that, because that is the ultimate question. How do you fix a problem like that?
You don't. You can't. Because like you say, the moment that it started
happening in World Superbike, people come into World Superbike and ride for free or ride for hardly any money, but then of course they do, because it's a chance to get into World Superbike, but
you're lowering the bar.
Yeah, you're just lowering it for everyone.
Devaluing the whole sport.
Yeah, and it's...
Because you deserve your money, you know. Yeah. Johnny Ray deserves your money, top right. And that's how it should be. That's that strive to go, like, you know.
Johnny Ray deserves 6-time World Championship money, but the guy that's just come into Superbike deserves enough money to earn a living, so he can prepare properly. Otherwise, he's never going to beat Johnny Ray if he's got to go to work in that week. Yeah. So that's where the balance, I just think, needs to be.
And when the risks involved with racing motorbikes are there has to be something for it.
Yeah, the mechanic's not going to pay to go to work, is he? That's what annoys me. And
the chance of the mechanic going to work
and not coming back.
They're very, very slim, you know. Whereas you sort of out the pit lane.
It's horrible to,
you know.
It's something that I can't really talk about because it just gets me so
we're down the rabbit hole here,
but I think
we're down the rabbit hole. I love it.
I think a lot of people do feel that way about it. I think a lot of people do feel that way about it, but unfortunately, it's, you know.
The problem is it's expensive to do it, and it costs money. And the reality is, to say what you want about the teams, but if they haven't got the money, they can't go racing, can they? So it's really hard, and sponsorship and the whole corporate world, and even stuff like electric companies don't want to be involved in racing because it's seen as whatever it is with the way that it's all going electric. I guess it is going to go electric, isn't it? But I just
bring back.
If they I'd rather bring electric bikes in if we're going to get paid. If people get paid to ride them or anything, I just think that the balance needs to be. We need to be careful these next 5-6 years that it don't get bad. Because I think Moto 3 and World Supersport and stuff, it's not good.
No, I hadn't even thought about Moto 3. I was
mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Those kids, like you say, kids coming into it, parents just mortgaging themselves up to the eyeballs just to get their kid in there, that realistically, when they've done that season, if they haven't done something with it, there's no more money in the pot, and the parents are left with a lifetime of debt to try and worry about. You know, do
you know what? If I was
terrifying.
If my lad was racing now and he was 12 years old and he was saying to me, Dad, I want to be MotoGP World Champion, I'd be saying,
"Oh, I like that."
So I'd be saying, no, son, that's not.
We aren't going to be able to do that.
We're already 12. We're racing around Cadwell. We ain't going to be MotoGP World Champion. But do you know what you're going to be? You're going to be British Superbike Champion. And if you do well enough and that gets you a chance to get to World Championship, mega. So let's do what we can. Let's work hard in Supersport. And if you was 18, 19 years old, like Johnny Ray was when he was on the Red Bull H implant, winning races in BSB, that would be the best chance you had of earning a bit of money and maybe getting to World Superbike. But as soon as you get to Spain now and waste 2 seasons spending 150 grand to never get anywhere, job's gone, hasn't it? So I think you've got to commit to the BSB is a good, it's a series where if you do well, you can make money, can't you? And if I was looking at it from a business point of view, if I was looking at it from a just want to be world champion, then it's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah. good. No, it's good to hear. It's good to hear an opinion from somebody
it's
that's
just to have honesty. You know what I mean? And that's what the show's about, isn't it?
Because I wouldn't. This is purely my opinion, which means nothing. Thinking about if I had a lad, which I don't, that was racing, to go to Spain all winter and waste all that and for them to take it for granted, to do all that in Spain. Like I go to Spain, I'm going to Spain next week to ride my supermoto and do some training. That's like an absolute dream that I feel guilty sometimes going. But then I think, no, you've earned that, and that's your job, and
it's part of
it. And I'm preparing to do the best I can this season.
Yeah.
And I can think that, but if I had a kid and given them all that, to not really appreciate it, to race in Moto 2 in Spain, to never get a chance in Grand Prix, to come back anyway, which 9 times out of 10 is what's happening, I think I wouldn't do that. I don't know. I just don't think it would be. It doesn't seem like it's working, is it, for the British guys to get in there?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And in turn, hopefully, that'll actually improve everyone's attitude in the long run, if you know what I mean. But if more people realise...
Because we had that. 15 years ago, we had Sykes, Crutchlow, Johnny, Jonesy, bless him, Haslam, all of them in BSB as young lads in BSB doing mint, and some have gone to MotoGP with Carl and some World Superbike, and that's
that year, that sort of
amazing, wasn't
that class
that was mega. And then you had Lavia and some of the older boys still there, and it was just it was proper mint for. I think that's what we're known for, isn't it? I think you should stick to that. Obviously, we're desperate to get someone in MotoGP, but we can't. You can't learn to ride on Alton, Cadwell, stock bikes, and then expect to be challenging them guys that have been on what they've got from their age. I think you're too much at a disadvantage, aren't you?
Yeah, you're a long way behind, aren't you? And we don't have prototype bikes over here, do we? No. We don't have big, long, fast-flowing tracks like that. We don't have the climate.
We're not a nation of people that are like massively into it.
No, we're the minority, aren't we? We are the minority.
No one's massively helping you go to ride around a go-kart track. All they're trying to do is, that's a bit noisy.
It's too noisy, shut it down,
They do everything they can to not help you.
Yeah.
You get to Spain, you're there, go-kart track's closed, you ring them up. Yeah, no problem. Give us €20. We'll come down and open it for an hour.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time, stuff like that. Oh, you ring them up. Any chance I can ride tomorrow? Yeah, if you give us €100, you can do a couple hours in the afternoon, no problem. Or whatever. They want to help you because they love it, don't they?
Yeah,
you come down and you sign them a knee slider, or you take a picture and they put it in the little cafe at the go-kart track. Where it don't happen in England. In England, they run them. The people running the tracks, they wouldn't know anything about racing or really care. And
the moment
if
you
ring
and say, I've got a pit bike, can I come? No.
Get out.
That's too noisy. We don't do bikes.
So that's more of the issue. And obviously in the winter, you don't want to be. We haven't quite got the weather, have we? For it, but
we've got some cracking go-kart tracks, haven't we?
Yeah.
That would lend itself to getting kids out there early on. Get like a little training schools going. We could do that easily over here if we had the support of. Yeah. The nation.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I'd run for Prime Minister because that
I'd vote you, mate. I would vote you.
That's sort of
Alex will vote you. I'll vote you. That's 2 votes.
Yeah.
You've got a chance, I think.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Well, I can't fuck it up anymore. Can I?
Oh, class, man. So I tell you, on a slightly different note. So, what does the future hold? So, you're going to Spain testing. What's after Spain?
The immediate future, so I'm going to Spain next week. A bit of supermoto riding on my new Kawasaki hybrid Husqvarna.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
giving you the opportunity not to say that.
He gave us the opportunity not to say
Husky. I'm not Fabio Husky.
Yeah. It's a
the black bike you've got.
Husky with Cowie stickers in it. So if anyone sees it on the social media, that's the new Kawasaki Supermoto bike.
Big fan.
Special edition. I'm going to ride in next week. Then I'm back for a few days, and then we've got 2 days in Jerez testing, which pretty much most of the Superbike grid are there, and 2 days in Portimao.
Is that an official test?
No, it's not official, but it's like an unofficial test. But most of the teams will be there, and then I go out to Australia on the 14th of February.
Right, and that's where it all kicks off.
Full families going, wife, kids.
Class, man, class.
I just thought about.
Do you need someone to carry your bags? I'm available.
You can, a
26-hour flight with chimps.
No, but I've got to go earlier.
Oh, you jammy bastard.
I'm hoping.
So you're leaving her to do it.
Cos, don't listen to this because little white lie. I have that media event I've got to do. I can't travel with you. It's might be on the golf course with Rocky, but let's not get into the fine detail about that.
One social media pic.
Yeah.
sorted.
So she's flying out with the girls on the 16th.
Confidence that your missus isn't going to listen to this. Now, I reckon we're about 2 hours in, so we'll make a note of the time and we'll just tag her in.
Yeah.
Don't listen to the pod, just go straight to that and listen to that conversation.
Yeah. So,
God love her. God love her. That's that'll be nice. So you're going to stay out there for. Have you got time to have a bit of holiday?
Indonesia the week after, but we're going out early because we have the 2 days testing. We've got another team launch sort of pitches on the weekend before, so we have to go out early anyway. And then we've got a 2-day test, a few days off, Phillip Island. Just gonna
living the dream. Living the dream.
Beautiful part of the world.
Yes.
And I tell you what, one of my final closing questions even is predictions. You gotta love a prediction. I want World Superbikes, which is obviously going to be him. There you are, that's sorted. BSB. What else?
MotoGP.
MotoGP. Thanking you, Joe.
What, the winner? Or?
Yeah. I want
for the title. World Superbike title.
And outside bet in all 3 categories.
I'm an outside bet for World Superbike then.
Fair enough.
But I think Bautista's going to win again.
Right.
Just because of that package.
I think the package, they've got an even bit more power next year, which they don't need really. So, and he doesn't struggle up the straight. I feel like he had a bit of time in his pocket. I think tracks he's gonna have too much of an advantage, but I think I'm gonna win races, and if I get some confidence going, you never know, do you?
Yeah.
MotoGP, I can't see anyone beating Pecco. Now he's won one. I think he's a guy that's fast, and he made some mistakes last year early on and still won. I think. As long as Bastianini and him don't have a hissy fit in the garage, I think Pecco could win again. BSB's a tough one. I think we've
outside bet for MotoGP. Or you don't think there's an outside bet for MotoGP? You just think
my outside bet for MotoGP is Marc Marquez.
Yeah, to get the bike sorted.
That's an outside. How can Marc Marquez be an outside bet? But I still think that
Honda's so far away.
The Honda's so far away,
so far off.
But he's so good.
Yeah.
If he's anything like fit and healthy and confident, he's an animal. So that's my outside bet. And to be honest, I'd quite like to see him just come back and because imagine what he's been through.
Story,
really.
Yeah.
And BSB's hard one. It's always hard to call BSB, but I think with Bradley Ray and Taron moving out, sort of blown it open a bit more. I think BSB and the change of format is asking for someone to really take hold of it. And I think O'Halloran is his chance. If he don't win it this year, I think the showdown's gone against him obviously the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And whatever, but I think the bike's good, the package is good for the BSB tracks, and I think O'Halloran, I think it's his chance to win. So I'm going to go with O'Halloran for BSB. Outside bet.
You don't think either of those, any of those 3 Ducatis have got a chance?
Yeah, in BSB,
as an outside
thing is with BSB, you've got 10 people that have got a chance, haven't you?
Yeah.
Outside bet for BSB. I'm going to go Lee Jackson on the Kawasaki.
I thought you were going to say him or Christian.
Like I said, you could say 10 or 11 people.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
That's the beauty of BSB, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the thing. That's why when everyone says, would you come back to BSB? Yeah, it's all right saying it. Come back right around the 15th. It's not as fun then, is it? It's easy to do that with young kids there.
Yeah.
It is. Racing is weird because, you if you took everyone to Aragon, it'd be a different story. But then you get to Alton Park and it's a completely different story again. So I'm happy that Bradley Ray's going to be in World Superbike. I don't know Taron in World Supersport on the Honda. I don't know enough about the bike. I'm hoping it's going to be all right. But that World Supersport, the rules, I'm lost with it. I don't know what they're doing.
It's going to be hard, is that?
Yeah, they're doing different revs and weights for everything. The Triumph's is it 765? And they've got that Ducati in that's like a superbike, and then what they're racing superbike, it's like 1.5 superbike. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know. I don't really have enough knowledge about how competitive that bike will be. Hopefully, it's good.
Last question: who's your mum's favourite? You or Sam?
Look at the thought process.
I know this is proper.
This is your mum.
I know this is why he's taking his time.
She probably worries about Sam more, and I'm my favourite.
I was hoping for like a change on one of those. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Well, I'll tell you what, looking at the time, and we've all got places to get and everything like that, but honestly, thank you so much.
Thanks, boys.
Hey, I'm jumping the gun here. I've been meaning to do this whole show. Ed is the man. You're wearing a Kex hoodie there, and
Ed is the man.
He is the man. I must thank him yet again.
And he will be listening for sure. He's told me that.
Well, Billy Bold stole this idea from like Chrissy and that, and took it to Ed, and Ed turned it into a masterpiece. So screw you, Ed.
Well, Ed, send me
if you
some
listen, Ed,
pants
screw you, Ed. Everything that your podcast is only doing well because of this one.
But that's
it. That's facts.
That's Chrissy through and through.
Yeah.
Because I said it with a dead straight face.
Because it's the truth, mate. No, but seriously, Ed's a legend. But like Ed can have it. Like, he's literally got his own podcast, but we can have him as a guest. What a man, and he's supported you for a long time.
He's got some funny stories as well. He's obviously
does.
with me, Sam, and even Leon, Thomas Earl. He's got some funny stories. He's called, and if you do get him on, he's called the All Rounder. He's not mega from a bike terms, like racing terms.
Yeah.
He can ride anything: off-road, enduro, trials, road racing, supermoto. So we call him the All Rounder. Unless you get the stopwatch out, then he just completely bottles it. You're a bottler, Ed.
You're a bottler. Love it.
Right.
What a man. But
thanks, guys.
Thank you very much for making the time.
But I tell you what, before, I'm really sorry about this. I'm doing a terrible job at this. I really am. I must do some housekeeping before we fully wrap up. Obviously, thank you to all our patrons. Without you, that there is not a show. Global Moto, who have been dedicated, like with Chrissy in this show for a long, long time, and Bennett's. Please get signed up, because without people like supporting the BSB like they are with Bennett's, get signed up, get your insurance through them, because then we don't have the show that we have. And this, I promise you, this is the last time, Alex. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you,
Joe.
Cheers,
It's been great crack, and we'll catch you later on. See you in a bit.
See ya.
Chasin The Racin. Powered by Colchester Kawasaki. Part of the Global Moto Group, we supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt and Benelli motorcycles.